child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mummy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, Amumu was his name. He ventured out to find a friend and learn about his bane. For many years, young Amumu traveled through the lands, determined to make friends if only they would understand. But even when Amumu stood upon the ledge of home, his hope would disappoint him and he would remain alone. But then the curse began to whisper in his ear. It would confirm what was Amumu's biggest fear. It pledged that never shall someone become his friend. It pledged that he shall be alone until his end. But sorrow and despair became too much to bear. The moment when Amumu realized what he had done, too late it was for him, for them, the evil curse had won. The anger and the anguish overwhelmed his fragile soul and caused a wicked tantrum that he never could control. seconds while you dream. A life never lives in peace. As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread, and fate may fall down upon you, while the devil is knocking right at your door. So are you restless? Each night you hear the drums of war. Awaken, awaken, the voice begins to call you out. You hunger, a taste of destiny you're searching for. Awaken, awaken, the fight is at your door. Take up the cause.
There wasn't really any standout bad moments. There was a couple of weeks in the middle of the split where we just weren't showing up on stage. A lot of our losses were very one-sided and scrim games weren't going that well.
I think weeks 5 to 8 were pretty tough. We were trying to practice things that either they work or they don't work. And on scrims they were working, but on stage it wasn't at all. And this was like early game aggression and trying to have a more consistent early game, but every time we went to stage, it didn't show up.
Around maybe week 3 or 4, things started to get really tough on everyone. We couldn't win a game in scrims. So I would say we had a pretty good record against a lot of the teams out of the top 4 at the bare minimum in scrims, but we just were getting like 3-0'd every game for pretty much the entire week, maybe a week and a half, and it was really draining on everybody. We were getting smashed at OPL. I think everyone was just kind of like drained after losing for a week, and then OPL was like really rough, and we eventually pulled it back around towards like the second half of the second week.
Thank you all for the effort you put in this season. It means a lot to me. I feel like it would have been really easy to give up given our results early on, but I feel like everyone still put in their all, which is all I can ask. So I'm proud of all your efforts, and thanks for playing. Thanks for playing.
My favourite moment from Split 1 would either be getting to the interview last week or our comeback win on Order.
Let's go!
I felt like I got to do a lot of things in that Order game, and I was really happy about that win.
I think the highlight for me was the comeback victory against Order. Chaz was playing Yasuo. And for me, it was really exciting, really made my split because of how happy he was to not only have a good performance, but have a good performance on stage, but also get an interview, which he'd really wanted. So I was really happy for him. I don't think there was a moment where I personally was super excited. It was more me being excited for everyone else.
My favorite moment's probably just the Order victory. That was really unexpected from everybody outside of Legacy. No one saw that one coming, and it was just a really good comeback, and everyone was super hyped about that game.
Oh, the root on them?
I'm ending.
And then
And then I can't.
end the game, boys!
I reckon my favorite moment is the recent win versus Gravitas. That win felt like we had it from like minute one.
Good job, Mark.
The early game was clean, mid game was clean, and late game was also clean, and team fighting was clean. So that game felt really rewarding and fun to play. In off season, I'm going to be improving in solo queue and just trying to remember what I learned in Split 1 and keeping that for Split 2 and just trying my best.
In the off season, myself, Pap and Chaz are organising a Korean boot camp. So we're going to be over in Korea for about a month, just getting ready for Split 2.
I'm going to be taking a short break, going to Korea, taking another short break, and then coming back and trying to do the best.
I want to hit Challenger in Korea, and if I have time, I want to try to get rank 1 back in OC before the next Split starts.
My plans for the break is probably just to try and keep up with League of Legends. You know, whatever happens, I'll try to watch it. But there's not too much that I can do. The players are all dispersing. Some are going to Korea, some are going back home. So I'll just be standing here and can help anyone if they need it. I want to get back into shape, and that's the thing that I'll be doing a lot during this off season. Is I want to be a lot healthier, and I feel like that is something that I can do to show that I also have commitment, not just to myself, but to whatever I commit to. My goal for Split 2 would be, at a minimum, I want to make Gauntlet this time. I feel like I've had a lot of teams where I have to teach the basics to. We go through the same motions, like on Athletico, the same motions, Chiefs Academy, the same motions, and now Legacy, the same motions. I want to get to the next level. I think this team is ready for it, and I think it's a really good team. If we can't make Gauntlet, I'm disappointed.
At the bare minimum, I want Gauntlet. Obviously, everyone's goal is to win the OPL, and I'm not sure if that will be achievable for us just yet, but that is obviously my goal. I want to win the OPL, and yeah, but at the bare minimum, I want the Gauntlet.
To anyone that's a Legacy fan, I'm sorry that this split wasn't what it maybe could have been. 5 and 16 isn't the greatest year, isn't a rather split, but I think we all showed signs towards the end that this was the project that we started from the beginning. I remember in the first video that we put out, Tim said that he hopes we'll put together some wins towards the end of the first split and have a good showing for the second. And that's still what we want to do.
So for everyone who's watching or been supporting me along the way, just, I really appreciate it. Just like to say thanks a lot.
So I'm really grateful that I've been given the opportunity to play in OPL, and I'm thankful for the staff for supporting me and any fans out there, and also my family supports me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the fans for supporting us. I know it was probably rough going from last year, Legacy being a top 3 team, to seeing the roster that it initially looked like at the start. So thanks to everyone that stuck by us. And also thanks to everyone that said, we'd be the worst team ever, or that we sucked. Because I know myself and I know everyone on the team enjoys proving those guys wrong. So thank you to them too.
What's so bad about that? So why won't you follow? Why won't you follow me home? I know I can't make you mine. Yes, I ran out of time. There's no hope for me. I fell down the bottom, so I fell down way deep. But if I can't have the real you, then let me make a 3D print of you, of you, of you, of you, of you, so I miss my target. It's the time to move on, but I cannot.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's the same as last weekend. Like, I'm going in with the same kind of mindset. Obviously, I want to carry some of the momentum in and carry the confidence that we got from last weekend. Bombers are obviously like a super good team, so we're gonna have to play our absolute best to beat them. I feel like we're prepared, and we're, you know, obviously kind of just riding the momentum of last weekend, and yeah, I think we're in with like a really good shot.
I think we've overcome both of our curses. You know, the 4th place curse, the 5th place curse. And then it shows that was the only thing stopping us. Like, it was like a miracle that we got in, so we were just taking every game as it came to us. And then,
well, we kind of didn't really go in with any expectations. We just wanted to play our best. But we know that we're better than what we've shown throughout the regular split, so it wasn't as much of a surprise for us. Like, we knew we could compete with all the top teams. We just, like, things didn't click until the weekend. Yeah, after we kind of were able to show what we have as a team, it's kind of nice to, like, for me, for everyone else in the community to see that we actually can be like a really good team.
It kind of felt a little surreal, like I couldn't, like the whole weekend I couldn't really, none of us could put our finger on it. Like, we didn't feel like the games kind of just like happened. Like, it wasn't like I don't know how to explain it. It was kind of like we won, but then when we came out, we were like in the room after, like, we were really happy, of course, but it kind of just felt like, what's going on? Did it happen? Did it actually happen? Are we asleep right now? To beat the Bombers, I think they're kind of like a fusion of Mammoth and Chiefs. Like, they're really high impact individual players like Mammoth, but then they also have like the teamwork that the Chiefs have. So I think it will require kind of like the consistent individual effort that we put up against all the teams in the gauntlet, but also like by the end of the gauntlet, like against the Chiefs, we were just all firing right at the same time, and we'll need to be on like our A game like throughout the whole series.
Honestly, it's just like not letting them overwhelm you, because like they do have very good individual players and they do put on a lot of pressure, but if you don't get flustered by that, I think, yeah, I don't think they're unbeatable at all. In fact, yeah, I think we're in with like a really good shot.
Yeah, I think if we beat the Bombers, obviously we go to MSI. We'll get a little more time overseas to play against like top tier players, which will be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to think about that, because like, I feel like if I focus on like the result, like I can maybe, like mentally, it can be overwhelming, kind of. Like, obviously it would just be insane to like go to MSI, especially after having like a rough 2 years.
I haven't thought about it too much. I think it is like still a very long way away. Like, they are like a pretty big reach above the teams that we've beaten so far in the gauntlet. So we'll just have to take it like one game at a time, even in the best of series.
It has been 5 weeks since the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship Series kicked off, and after just over a month, we have already seen a plethora of exciting plays, dramatic team fights, and epic come-from-behind victories. All of which was kicked off when Hey I'm White secured the first blood of the tournament for the still undefeated SPCC colors.
The Alpha Strike does not do nearly enough damage, and there is your first blood of the tournament going over to Hey I'm White.
This wasn't all the Week 1 action we saw, as Somerset College proved all it takes is one clutch, yet very coordinated Dragonsteel to push their team to a strong seasonal start. I mean, a Ben O'Rourke's triple kill helps as well. Week 2 saw our first close match when Chisholm took on Somerset College live on stream. It was late game team fighting on display, as each side refused to give up an iota of power surrounding that Elder Dragon. In the end, despite a very clutch steal from Somerset's jungler Dawnbreaker, it was actually Chisholm who then went on to take the ensuing team fight and in turn, the match.
Swap connects on both of the damage dealers, or at least Nara, and one of them. Here comes the left zone, not really enough damage. It's that my boy zoning out the backside. The Swap on his zone. The Kindred only forced out zone. Hecarim kills a run in and a charge again. He's in the back line, but he's not going to be able to pick up any kills. It's Swap who falls from malfunction first, as Alpha Jones running for his life. It is a double kill from malfunction. now. Albatross skirting on that edge, trying to hold it away, but not quite enough, as Dolingus is able to pick up that kill. That will be a fight going over to the Chiefs. The last one to fall is Dawnbreaker, and the Chisholm Chiefs should be getting an Elder Dragon as reward. And he's over the Dragon area. Dragon's low. Dragon's gonna flip that. Oh, it's stolen! Dawnbreaker steals the Dragon and possibly the fight. Here's the steal from the Bandos. It's left damage. It's a double kill and appears for the Hacker. The fight is going down. Akaswap is on his own, and he will fall. There it is. Albatross also getting kill on malfunction. However, here comes back to lag. A double kill picked up by this Kindred, and he wants more. Forcing out the flash out of Benny Rock. And the Albatross running for slice. The Chiefs are in. There it is. The Chiefs here plus the Dragon, but they have won the fight.
Entering week 3, we bore witness to one of the tournament favorites, St. Paul's Legacy, perform some of the cleanest and most coordinated League of Legends gameplay yet seen on stream. It was strong Leona play from the support, Aurora Riven, which helped push the team to a victory over TSS.
They're going to turn this around, and LJP is going to get out alive. Here comes St. Paul's Legacy. The target is actually the god who's quite low. Ignite was dropped, but he will be able to get away. In the front line down goes the Thresh with Nasus to fall next. 2 kills, and Coops wants more. Will this be the double? Civil Pink is just getting railed on the zap connected for the slow. That is the 3rd kill. Merc picking that up. 3 more down for Southport School, and this could be game.
However, that wasn't the only match to watch during week 3, as we also saw a battle between 2 of the, at the time, undefeated monsters of the tournament with SPCC Colors and Chisholm College. A showdown which was eventually won by the Colors through a mixture of individual and team outplays as seen here. Please take note of Chisholm's desperate attempt to try and steal the Baron away from SPCC. His Malfunction, who tries to jump in late for that desperate Baron steal, but unfortunately is turned away by JFK's AFK and then followed out by Hey I'm Black. A flash over the wall leads to a little bit of a kerfuffle around the red buff. Watch Hey I'm Purple right here as he's able to flank to Chisholm's backline, drop a slicing Maelstrom, pick up a double kill, and in turn, the team fight and the game. Week 4 was our broadcast marathon of a game, as despite being seemingly down and out, Maroochydore was able to defend and extend their match against Craigslee. That was at least until unfortunate positioning from Bobby Schmurda and an even less fortunate killer instinct from Boofy Crackers put the team at a very high risk. That said, it would still be another 17 minutes until Craigslee would actually put this game away.
Boofy Crackers cannot be defensive. Boofy Crackers fall. That could be the game. I believe Craigslee has just won it.
Elsewhere, SPCC Colors were also in a lot of trouble trying to keep their undefeated streak alive. Down 8 kills early into their match against SPS Legacy, Hey I'm Purple once again proved his worth with a critical Baron steal to help keep the Colors alive. Not wanting to be outshone by his teammates, however, Blaze Paradox decided to show off some of his own skills, putting the team on his back and walking into a 1v5 situation not 2 minutes later. He's not only able to get a triple kill, but also ended walking towards the enemy Nexus looking to put SPS away for good. Our final broadcast of the first half of the split saw a battle between 2 late entry powerhouses in Kelvin Grove 3 and Marston State High School. Throughout this match, Marston was very successful in funneling all their kills over to Silas, who was ironically playing a Vayne. However, the oppressive split push Zillion, played by Supitime, that's right, split push Zillion, actually gave Marston no room to look for the fights that they wanted and led to a KG3 victory.
2 roofs go down, the ultimate is there, but all it hits are Zonius. Meanwhile, Derby kind of standing on his own. He's getting chunked quite a bit. The Curse of the Sad Mummy needs to come down and only connects with 2 and knocks the back line. As they are going for 11 against Sexy, he's doing what he can from the back, but in the end, this very still meme is running rampant over Marston. 3 go down. They get to her. They force the GA because Silas is still alive. He should be able to try and get the pin. No, he stays within auto range, and unfortunately, that means Fairy Steel Meme is going to get that kill. The SKT Team Master survives on no health, but he cannot 1v2 to save the game. KG3 should win, or can they? Here comes SKT. The answer is no, it is done. KG3 are your winners.
And that concludes the first half of the Queensland League of Legends High School Championship Series. With everything we've seen so far, we can only imagine what's in store when we return. However, that's going to be 3 weeks away, as like Zach right here, we're going to be taking a brief break, but don't worry, we'll be back soon.
Special report. For the first time in its storied history, the OPL Finals will not feature a Sydney-based team. Our most handsome reporter investigates. A cloud hangs over Sydney, representing the mood of the city in the aftermath of the OPL Gauntlet. The home of the OPL finds itself for the first time without a representative following the loss of the Sydney-based Chiefs Esports Club 0-3 over the weekend. Sydney-siders are in an uproar. Panic and confusion grip the streets, with residents unsure of who to lend their support.
The first gauntlet match was a win-win, I think, with Melbourne teams knocking each other out. But I thought the Chiefs would pull it through, you know. Now it just kind of feels like a lose-lose.
But what is the real cause for the shift in OPL power? Residents are scrambling to assign blame.
I voted the Liberals in the election, kind of expected the status quo to be maintained, the traditional Sydney versus Sydney final. But now I guess I'll have to wait for the next leadership spill. Hopefully it happens before Split 2.
So now comes the question. Is Melbourne the new home of esports? Fans around the world will be tuning in this weekend to find out. But for now, Melbourne has its time in the sun.
Kind of surreal, I guess, to be playing in a final. Having the opportunity to actually prove it, like giving the chance, is like a huge step for me. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to perform throughout the split. It was like it does get to you, and we were just able to finally like step back and just play how we wanted to play, and it turned out it was pretty good.
That gauntlet run for the first time in what felt like a really, really long time, I actually was having fun.
Now the fight gets turned. This is going to be all order. And now they will be able to take down Shock finally. He's killing everyone. He's going to get himself a triple.
We're a group of players where, you know, the less stress there is, the less like expectation that weighs on us, we're able to just like naturally play, and I think it really showed.
There were calls made in the Chiefs game that we wouldn't have made in the Mammoth series. We were just feeling very, very confident.
Order! Sweep aside the Chiefs Esports Club and set themselves up for a finals match with Bombers!
I think they've got 5 really, really good players. Balkan's like early pressure, like he always farms and he always ganks. Like I don't know how he does it. And then they've just got like 3 like really mechanically gifted lanes, but they also punish really hard when it's their turn to punish.
Their players don't really back down when you go at them, which means it makes you think that you've made a mistake. And then as soon as you second guess yourself, that's when they go in. All I can think about is winning domestically. Ah, man, it would feel really good to be like on top again, because it's been a really, really long time.
We always had the expectation to be the first place team. That's probably the biggest motivator for joining Bombers that I had, was that they had the same goal alignment with me, that they wanted to be first place.
At the start, we relied heavily on like just winning all our lanes. We didn't have much teamwork. Obviously, there was like communication barriers and stuff like that. And throughout the split, our jungler and top got a lot better English, so I think our teamwork got in a lot better.
We have 5 players who can all rely on each other, who are all such exceptional players and probably the best players in their role in this region.
And all of a sudden, Mimic comes to the party. He does get a massive stun, and that turns it right around. The quadra kill for the Kennen. Nice! Welcome to Korea!
We've all had experience playing best of 5 before, except for Balkan. For us, I think the best of 5 format isn't anything we're not familiar with.
We were making so many comparisons to our Cinderella story run and watching ORD's Cinderella run. And we were comparing ourselves to how Dials must have felt when we beat Chiefs and then when ORD beat Chiefs. It was like so fun to watch these matches.
It definitely got my blood boiling. I really wanted to play like the next day after ORD had beaten Chiefs, but obviously we got to wait that week.
Going into this grand final match, me and FBI, we have a lot to prove. After ORD's failure last year and them getting a new bot lane, I kind of want to prove to them that that was a mistake.
I love my former team. Like I love ORD, I love all my teammates, but at the end of the day, there's only going to be one winner, and I think in the finals, I'm going to have to destroy them.
Having 5 people who've never had a trophy before and is within grabbing distance, it's something that we want so badly.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast, so we're getting rid of them. Now you can enjoy dinner or breakfast whenever you want it. McDonald's all-day menu, available 24/7.
Shutdown! Lloyd's alive, he's burning up! Claire, that was beautiful!
They needed a miracle, he gave them everything and more.
But that's the double kill for the bait! Baby, they clean up!
Hello and welcome to the OPL Split 1 Grand Final, brought to you by McDonald's. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I am joined by the second and third best dressed people in this segment. Spawn and Rusty.
Who did you mug for that suit? Give it to me straight.
It's a good suit.
Who on the way to work
Yep.
did you accost in the streets of Sydney to take that suit?
I mean, I know you want to know because you have, some might say, a vested interest in this suit.
Some might say that.
Some might say.
Some wouldn't, but some might.
But I never would.
Yeah.
Rusty, you look
No, he got
gorgeous.
that one tailored.
Yeah.
It's a good suit. Well, this one's tailored as well. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is tight in the ribcage.
Suck it
Nick.
in, suck it in, suck it in.
For you, mate.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, welcome to finals.
Yeah, happy to be here as well. It's exciting times. I mean, two teams. We're going to have a new victor in the OPL as well for the first time in what feels like forever. You can't help but just be excited to see this one through.
And you can see in the pre-videos that this means a lot to the players.
Absolutely.
Because you could hear Rogue explaining, you know, the run that Sin made to the finals.
Yep.
They ultimately lost a legacy. They never made that far. I know that meant a lot to them. They all the Sin guys actually really appreciated holding that title. Juve sent a couple of angry tweets to me during the week as well about, you know, taking the last thing that he holds dear to himself. So I think that both teams coming in great form. I mean, Bombers have only lost 2 games this whole split.
Yeah.
Like, nearly would look unbeatable unless you take Order's run into this grand final into account.
I am so excited for tonight. It's felt like a very long week, so I'm glad to finally be here. Of course, it is not just games that we have for you tonight. We have the OPL awards as well. We'll be handing those out over the course of the evening. The heroes of the OPL get celebrated, and you know, people who aren't even necessarily in the grand final get their time to shine, so that'll be very exciting. And of course, something for you guys as well. There are watch rewards. If you head to os.lollysports.com and watch the games through there tonight, then you get yourself an icon. It's that easy. You just go to a website, you log in with your personal details, you send me a private DM with your credit card number, and I tick the box in the spreadsheet that lets you get the icon. It's just that simple. So it's very exciting. But that's not the only thing.
I was going to make a serious statement, like, you're already here, you may as well just log in.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that anymore.
No.
It's too derailed already.
It's too derailed already. But there is another reason to be watching, besides us, besides the games, besides the icon, because we're also giving away, Rusty?
Sneaky Sivers.
I meant we're giving away Rusty, but apparently we are also giving away sneaky Siver pizza delivery skins. So we have thousands, literally thousands of these skins to give away, and it is so easy. After the first kill of either Infernal Drake, Baron, or Elder Drake in every game, a timer will appear on your screen. You have 10 minutes to then log into your OS League of Legends account and claim the skin. So you just have to head to os.lollysports.com/giveaway and you get the Siver skin. And if you don't have Siver, you get her too.
And she's good at the moment.
Yeah,
I play a
she's
lot of
great.
Siver. I think that the Essence Reaver changes made her really good. I think that we might even see her tonight. I think she's good.
Yeah, I may be a crazy person, but you can even play it in mid lane and off roll, because not a lot beats it in mid, and I'm just putting that one out there.
There you go. And so that is happening every single game tonight. So make sure you keep an eye out for that first kill. All right. We kind of teased a little bit. I just saw the thing on the table as well. And now I'm very distracted because, of course, there is the... What are we calling this?
I think it's a limmy.
It's a limmy?
It's a lemon with a lime with a chili.
It's disgusting. Someone's going to have to eat that. We don't know
Someone
who.
called
I mean, we may run out of time. We just don't know. But it is the Tudurkin of the chili world.
We won't run out of time. I am a very patient man.
I feel like it's that moment in Inception where maybe I could just spin it and we just cut before we actually...
find out what happens.
Yeah, exactly. No, so we've got Bombers and we have Order coming into this. Let's start with Order because, I mean, those boys had just the dream run last week.
Yeah, what a run for Order. This is the kind of thing that you would never expect from a team, but how quickly they improved, how rapidly they improved. You know, a lot of the players have said it actually comes down to the preparation, the changes in a lot of the staff. Some of them very begrudgingly named staff members and said they were a big help for us, but what a difference it has clearly made for these guys who have individually themselves also stepped up huge.
Yeah, and it's what I've always said, Rusty. Prior preparation prevents piss-poor performances, and they had some terrible performances during the regular season. It was good to see them turn it around, and it was good to see the veterans get back involved in it.
That's the thing, like, think of this in context. They went through the second round robin
with
and
one
they
win.
Won a single game against the Direwolves. They lost every other game in that round robin.
And it was pretty touch and go at certain parts of that game as well. So certainly not smooth sailing, but, you know, hardened from the journey, some would say, Nick.
And so, Rusty, these guys, you know, they had the back-to-back 1, 2, 3 days of just, I mean, I would argue getting better and better every day. What happens over the course of the week heading into this game? Is that momentum still there?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like, they played back-to-back best of fives. They went 3-1, 3-0, 3-0. They were looking fantastic, but now they have to have a full week break. And the thing is, with this full week break, I think, first of all, it resets your momentum. Both teams now get nerves. They go home, they wait for a week. And the only other teams that are really looking to play and practice League of Legends are their opponents, and it's even harder to prepare and plan in that regard.
See, the thing is, though, is FBI from the Bombers in the video said, oh, I was just really hoping we were going to play them on the Sunday. And I was like, really, Vic? Like, is that what you got for me? Like, that's the biggest thing you're going to throw towards? Like, I love FBI. No one wanted to play Order on the Sunday of that week. They looked like they were in red-hot form. What I will say, though, is the boys kind of said it the whole gauntlet run. No one expected us to be here. This is kind of their free hit. They were a team that was put together for double boot camps in Korea and then, you know, maybe a split 2 run. The fact that they get it a split early, honestly, I think it would be Order feeling pretty relaxed, pretty cruisy. This is a freebie going up against Bombers who, you know, they keep saying it. They're looking past the OPL. They've said it from the start of the season after game 1. We just want to go to MSI.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a dangerous situation to find, you know, the best team in the OPL in.
So you feel like Order, they feel like they have nothing to lose, happy to be here, but at the same time are going to put on that performance that got them here in the first place.
Well, Jake in his interview, and this time Avant Order Jake, that one, said that he felt like this was the first time all year that the expectations weren't like weighing down on him and he could play really freely. And I think Dream echoed that sentiment as well.
Yep.
You know, more veteran players, like I don't think Spooks and Swiffer are approaching it that way.
Yep.
But I think, you know, some of the younger guys like the Tallies, the Dreams and the Jakes would be saying, yeah, this is like, you know, the freebie. This is the first crack at the boss and we'll see whether we go again.
And that boss, of course, is Bombers. Rusty, as Jake alluded to, are Bombers feeling that weight of expectation? Not only the MSI thing, but basically this whole split, it's been like, oh, these guys are going to win.
I mean, Bombers have always had that, and it's not cockiness, right? But they are very confident in the way that they carry themselves around.
I would call it arrogance.
There may be a little bit of it, but they definitely, like you mentioned, they're looking towards internationals. But the thing is, you know, and there is a saying, the wolf on the hill is not as hungry as the wolf climbing the hill.
Yep.
And that may be a case that we have to consider here today. Bombers, they are well and truly on top of the standings. They didn't have head-to-head against the Chiefs, though. So there were a couple of moments that did humble this team. And that may be something that has helped them coming through. But when it's Order they're up against, we'll have to see.
Yeah, in saying it was not the moments against Order that humbled them because Bombers took care of Order. I think the first time these team plays was actually the closest. Order was able to get a Baron. They ran down mid lane. Rogue got like a 4-man headbutt pole combo and just lights out. They won the game from there, like completely snuffed them out. Last time they played, Order played with no bans. It was a very one-sided affair, I feel. So I feel like Bombers all year long have kind of handily dealt with Order. In saying that, is it the Order from the gauntlet? We don't know. We'll see which team shows up today. What I do want to point out, however, is the Korean top side of the map is probably like the scariest top side of the map. And the area that Order seemed like they were just getting free run after free run in the gauntlet was around Tally's champion pool and Spooks' champion pool. Those two players just went through uncontested. No one else played the Urgot. Tally was the only one playing things like Hecarim. He was getting Hecarim banned. He played the Kayle. So I think like Mimic and Volcan and not going to allow them to win in the same way, if Order do win, it's going to have to be something very different today.
Yeah, and the thing that does make Bombers scary through those two members is that, like, first of all, you expect them to be in each other's pockets. They always gank top lane whenever they find the moment. And whenever Balkan is there, it is a kill. Like, they're just that good at actually transferring to kills. But the thing is, if he falls behind top lane, one of the best things Bombers do is cross-map plays with teleports. No hesitation. Both of them will be on the opposite side of the map and influence there instead.
I was actually going to say that's the biggest hallmark of this top 2v2 is they don't waste time. Like, everything they do is decisive. If they're farming, they're hard farming. Volcan harm farm so much. Like, everyone says he's this ganking jungler. He doesn't when his camps are on cooldown most of the time because he just commits to the hard farm. He takes double scuttle in so many of his games. There is so much to like about this jungler that he just gets to top lane with an experience advantage. And, you know, when you're that one level up, you know, 4 to 3 or 5 to 6, it makes such an impact in that jungle role. And so many times, Mimic and Volcan are able to just tear teams apart due to how well they play this 2v2.
And do you feel like Bombers, I mean, who have looked nigh unflappable this entire split, there is an element of they probably thought they were heading into a Chiefs final?
Absolutely.
100%, yeah.
How much of a rewrite do they have to do over the course of the last week?
I don't think that matters too much, really. Like,
they play the same, right?
Yeah, you can expect that you'll be against the Chiefs. The only thing that changes is your preparation for your opponents, but you had the same amount of time anyway with the full week to be able to prepare and plan. And you had the sample size of seeing your opponents play, 9 games, roughly 10 games.
Yeah.
So they actually do have a lot of information, and who their opponent is shouldn't matter too much. What should be a concern is on the opposite end of this. You had so much time not seeing your opponents play if you're Order that they have probably cooked up a whole host of things that they could have done, even just perfecting strategies and refining themselves the time they've had between when we last saw them to now is massive.
And the thing is, right, is when you only get 3 games from the day before to look in the gauntlet, I feel like it's not a big deal. When you have 10 games to be like, okay, how do they set up level 1?
Yeah.
Like, let's play the law of averages here. In 7 games they did this, in 4 games they did this. Let's take a punt on the 7 for game number 1. Let's set up a level 1 to counter that. I think that's where the big advantages starts coming in for not playing it. I just want to remind everyone at home, every single team that has finished first and automatically gone through the grand final since this gauntlet system has been called the Direwolves and subsequently has won the OPL.
Yep.
No team coming from 2nd or 3rd or 4th has ever been able to do it. It's always been the people sitting in that first place spot. And I think that this is where the weak turnaround really will hurt Order because they had to give so much away. They said it. They didn't expect to beat Mammoth, let alone Avant into the Chiefs. They left nothing on Summoner's Rift. They used every pocket pick they had, all their cheesy strats. So I think that, this is where potentially they need to cook some more up.
And they used every pocket pit, every cheesy strat, but also they played like Order. Like, there was not too much change there where it was like, oh, we're going to drop massive surprises on you. We're just going to play the way that we know how to play. So there's a lot of information given out there. All right, we cannot wait any longer. It is time to get into game number 1 with the McDonald's Champ Select and the 4th and 5th best boys dressed. This is all ruined. Can we do another take of this? Can we? Well, what? Oh, shit.
Man, Nick boy, I don't know where you're getting those rankings, man. Look at this guy right here. We are ready to rock and roll for the grand finals. This is going to be such an amazing time, Bryce.
Bloody banger!
It's going to be a great game. It's such a great story. You've got the heir apparent of the OPL, really, with Bombers. Everyone expected them to make it into the finals, and they're going up against the best Cinderella story that we've had in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the couch kind of touched on it, right? Like, both of these teams coming into this game with just completely different expectations, completely different runs. It really is David versus Goliath, and Order, they've done the run so far. Can they continue that momentum? They touched on, is the break, is the 1 week going to falter there? This is, I also want to note, we're on patch 9.6, right? We've seen this patch for the entirety of the gauntlet. Bombers haven't played in the gauntlet. This is a team we have not seen on this patch, whereas we've seen everything Order have thrown away. So it's going to be interesting in the first Champ Select. It will be one of those situations where for us as spectators, for also Order, Bombers is really the unknown, and there's going to be a lot of feeling out to be done.
We'll have to find out in game number 1, and maybe that will favor more on the opposite side Order, since they've been so used to playing on this patch. You talk about surprise factor, but there's also the comfort factor of playing on the stage on the patch. Let's take a look at the bans we've got so far, though. Zoe, Silas, both removed by Bombers.
And are they going to hit it with a thresh? We are going to get exactly the same bans we have seen them be successful with time and time again. Like, analyzing their run through the gauntlet whilst we have a little bit of time, Jake touched on the top lane champion pool where Tally gets a lot of advantages and now going up into Mimic. That is rough, but they have done so much work in manipulating the support pool so that their young bottom lane of Dream, and then like Jake, he's not necessarily young, he's been around for a while, but they are looking so much better than they did in the regular split. They've done a lot of work in getting these guys stable matchups that they're familiar with, that they like to play with these Alistar and Thresh bans, and they're just looking to continue the trend here up against the Bombers.
Yeah, this is huge, and it's for Order. It really is the comfort level. They've got the Xayah already locked in for Dream. Can pair it with Rakan if it's not taken away here by Bombers, but let's see what the answer is in the form of FBI and Rogue. Tahm Kench picked up right off the bat.
Okay.
All right, unload the toad. Let's go.
Yeah, so harkening back to Week 1, Week 2 Bombers. You look at the bottom lane coming into the 2019 season and you're like, FBI Rogue. These guys are so aggressive. Get him the Thresh, get him the Lucian. Let's play some Lane Kingdom. But they played weeks of Victor Tahm Kench. Maybe we don't see the Mage in the bottom lane here, but this is a straight blind TK for Rogue. They play this 1-3-1 style. We've seen other teams in the OPL do this. Ryze can go top, can go mid. As a mid laner, is the best side lane mage on the current patch. And this could be a 1-3-1 comp completely blind.
It certainly could, and Order, they've gone for a lot of death ball compositions. I expect them to do the same here. With the Zac up and available, that could actually punish the Tahm Kench somewhat because they can grab back both the Tahm and who is in his belly.
Yeah, certainly could. They could opt in for the list. The Rakan is still up and available. It was only the Morgana ban that was taken away by Bombers, so you kind of expected the Lovers duo coming out of Dream and Jake here. They hovered the list for a time that could be something beneficial to them if they do want to play the hard force, right? It is already Xayah Rakan. If they layer on a Zac, as you say, a Lissandra, go for the Death Ball, that's how they've been playing and that's how they've been successful. On the other side of the coin, the best way to beat a Death Ball is to play a very disciplined, a very stable 1-3-1, and it looks like both of these teams are kind of opting in.
That's exactly what Bombers are the best at, playing disciplined. They've only lost 2 games in the entirety of the OPL, seeded directly into the finals here.
Let's see if they end up locking that Jarvan in. So far, they do have a lot of map mobility, a lot of ways to set up plays as well as drag across the map in a 1-3-1.
And I am almost interested to see that Jarvan locked in. Obviously, a flex pick towards the jungle, towards the top lane. Mimic could be able to blind that one, but they probably will cop double bottom lane bans here. It's going to be an Ezreal, maybe it's a Sivir. You just want those kind of safe early game wave cleary scale up sort of carries in the hands of FBI, and I expect Order to sort of remove those ones as you predicted. The Zac was banned away. That's a Kog'Maw.
That is a Kog'Maw ban. So that speaks volumes about what Order's expecting to see.
Yeah, because this is a champion we haven't seen in the Gauntlet yet. Has been getting a significant amount more play on 9.6 than we did on every subsequent patch so far, but that's a late game hyper carry for a comp that could go towards the late game, and Order read it. They just banned that one away.
All right, so I also like what Bombers have done with the double jungle bans. They not only remove Spook's Zac, they remove a champion he's had quite a lot of effectiveness on in the Gauntlet, and is the Urgot. Tally's also piloted, so you get a bit of a 2-for-1.
Yeah, because it is somewhat annoying to be able to just blind that champion, and you don't really know where it's going to go.
Wave
Ash
clear
lock-in,
for days, and you've got Ash, which means the Crystal Arrow from downtown is going to be a real possibility.
Okay, and this is an old-school lane matchup. The Tahm Kench and the Ash. You have the CC, ironically, coming from the AD carry and the safety from the support here, so a little bit of a mix-up. This is not a bottom lane we have seen for a while domestically, but these two players certainly capable of piloting this sort of style, and interesting to see how they go with a bottom, like against a bottom lane that's honestly been on fire out of nowhere, right? Dream and Jake have really stepped it up, and they hit on the couch. Is this the final boss? We will see.
All right, Sion already locked in for Tally here, still waiting on a jungle pickup for Spooks. What will be the last lock in 15 seconds as Choo Choo's has some words for the team.
And Aurelion Sol could... Actually, no, they've got a Lissandra. No, this could go.
Sion jungle, maybe?
Nah.
I think it'd be a little bit weird, right?
This, yeah, absolutely. That's a bit of a mystery. This would be a jungler for Spooks.
There we go. The Karthus comes in.
Okay.
Now, this has made an appearance in a number of other regions.
Yes.
Most notably, my former region in Europe, I've seen a lot of Karthus out of the jungle in the form of Broxa recently.
They love Karthus over there. And Mimic certainly loves himself a Kennen into Sion matchup. I feel like this is something that Order have 100% opted into. This is a very easy read, and he's played so well in these style of matchups, right? And I feel like in interviews with you, listening to FBI, he has literally said some of their game plans in certain weeks, they get Mimic a good matchup, and they're just waiting on the bottom side. They're like, yeah, let's let Mimic, let's let Jusung just do his thing. Eventually, he's going to get enough of an advantage to dive, and then they blow open the game, and this could be another one of those things. We talked about the potential of a 1-3-1. They have the makings here. Ryoma is opting in for the cleanse against the list, so in terms of that potential, they've got a little bit more of that team fight kit with the Jarvan, with the Kennen now.
It's also a pretty slippery team when you look at it. Just about everybody's got some form of mobility to get out of the combination that Order's going to be trying to bring to this party. There's a heaping helping of damage on the Order side, but what they do best has been deathballing.
Yes.
Bombers, they'll be able to, if they have the tools to work with, getting out of a lot of that danger, and I think this first game is definitely set up to be a real clash of styles here. Looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Yeah, 100%. There are so many engage tools on the hands of Order. There are also so many like livable tools. You've got the cleanse, you've got the Tahm Kench, and it really is going to come down to a lot of these engages, and whoever gets it might win the team fight.
Absolutely. Well, as we look to get underway here for Game 1 of this best-of-5 finals, we are joined by the coach of Bombers. It is Weston Wei. Welcome to the desk.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent stuff. Let's start by just taking a quick look at not just the draft, but how you guys came into this, because you had a week to prep specifically for Order, but how did you really shift up your preparation, considering I think they might have been the last team a lot of people expected in the Gauntlet to come through?
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't expect to see them at the end of the Gauntlet. I had actually done a little bit of prep for the Chiefs the week before, because you know they were the team which I think most people and we thought were going to be playing in the finals. The one good thing about Order is that we did have a full 10 games, which we were able to analyze. So yeah, that was really good, just having the week to go through those, figure out what their strategies are, what their trends are, and hopefully have a few plans ready to beat them.
Yeah, and we may just be seeing one of these right now as we head on with the interview. And I want to ask about like kind of the mood. Rogue talked about in a piece of the Bombers content that he was saying that like, yeah, we were sitting back, like this is how Direwolves must have felt. Like, how was it watching Orders run? The fact that they made it this far, is that daunting? Was it like a surprise and you guys are up for the challenge? Where's the headspace out of the team?
I think the team's pretty confident in any of their opponents that they would be able to beat them.
Yep.
The big thing for us was just, you know, even though they did finish quite low down in the regular season, is that we just ensure that we show them a lot of respect.
Yeah.
We do our due diligence with preparation, and I think if we do that with any team, then we'll be able to beat anyone.
Yeah, certainly the case. And I want to, like, we can't ask specifics, obviously. We're only at the start of a very big best-of-5 series. But, like, how much does this mean for the players? Like, is this sort of comp, like, coming into this game, a style you chose specifically against Order?
A little bit. I think, you know, we kind of just looked at what they were doing, and then we looked at what we were good at.
Yep.
And because we had so many drafts to look at as well, we were able to just say, okay, this is what we want to do against them.
All right, so long series ahead for the team as well, and thank you so much for joining us, Weston Way. Looking forward to seeing how they compete.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're underway here. We saw, as you mentioned, Bryce, the potential for some level 1 shenanigans.
Yeah.
Bombers opted not to take it, and for me, the place to watch is absolutely going to be this bottom lane because it is the Order lineup versus the former Order bottom lane, and Jake and Dream have been absolutely on fire, as you said in draft.
Yep. Certainly is the case, and maybe a little bit to prove from both of these sides, and it's fairly interesting as well. We've got some interesting summoner choice. It's the lethal tempo for both the AD carries. Fairly standard stuff. Dream's opted in for the cleanse, so he wants that extra utility. He hasn't matched the TP that you sort of can expect an Ashe to go for, whereas there's very defensive tools on the other side. Rogue hasn't gone super defensive in the Unsealed Spellbook to match that of Jake, but does have the Guardian, so it will be fairly interesting to see how this one plays out.
And you want to talk defensive, too. The Doran Shield start for Dream on the Xayah here. They are paired up. We'll see also where the junglers end up going, too, because, you know, the Karthus versus the J4, I think Balkan definitely gets off to a pretty early start, as you can see him already coming up into Swiffer's lane.
Yep, is now crossed mid twice. Walked from top crab to bottom crab, as Ryoma's going to get a nice little trade onto him there, but just shows his face back again, and you can see how much respect Swiffer had to play, just given that the Jarvan was inside his lane. Spooks right here is looking for a very greedy clear, just looking to do Karthus things, you know, he wants to farm up the most of his jungle. Balkan fished in towards the bot side, didn't really find anything, was potentially looking for a gank onto Spooks, and he's happy to just sit here clearing camps.
Meanwhile, Balkan definitely going double time here. He goes camp to gank, camp to lane. Constantly Dream and Jake having a bit of a giggle down in that bottom side. Balkan on level 3 would be able to dive in, but he can't lock him into the Thunderdome. Here it goes, and the game is up here. Let's see if he's going to get it. Flash play, knock up, cleanse, looking for Balkan. The damage is there. First blood goes to FBI, and they juggle the aggro well.
That was such a well-played dive. Rogue is level 3, so he has the grey health to be able to tank that one up. Didn't even need to pop it. Balkan EQ into the flash. And once again, that is a cleanse AD carry. Doesn't have the bolster of that heal. He doesn't have that extra effective health. So he falls down, loses a huge wave, and that was already 10 CS behind his opponent at 4 minutes into the game.
That's a great start, taking advantage of the bottom lane and just trying to get that dive on early. Balkan just so active on the map, always for Bombers.
And I feel like he had to be, right? In this matchup, Karthus, if he gets to free farm, will be an absolute monster, and you saw how active Balkan was just looking for things. He already tried to get access to Swiffer, as now Swiffer may be getting a return.
Yeah, Ryoma could be in trouble. Cleanse is not going to get burned, but the flash is. Spook's still going for it as he dodges out a couple of Skittles.
Yep, so they do get the flash, and looking to trade back. Swiffer now no health, no mana, desperately wants to shove this wave in. It's important to note that he also has TP advantage, so Ryoma is just going through with the recall here. Wasn't going to greed out for the wave, and Balkan will be able to
he picks it up,
catch up all of this XP. I like the play. They kind of knew where he was on the map anyway, given he just ganked bot side, so
yeah, I mean, it's
not
great.
really revealing too much.
Great things that the Bombers jungler is able to do here, and you know, I think this is what's been such a huge successful part of the team throughout the course of the regular split. Like, fantastic rookie performance out of the Korean jungler. Jake stepping a little far forward, getting caught out for just a second by Rogue and FBI. They are going to be able to get this wave push on, though, and that is something that Order have been able to do well throughout the course of the Gauntlet.
Yeah, and he's not so much looking for like a really aggressive trade there, as that's a nice rip back, but just looking to burn through Rogue's mana. Tahm Kench, his W, the Devour cooldown, you've seen it internationally if you watch those other leagues, but if you're an OPL viewer and you only watch the OPL, we haven't seen him for a while. He got hardcore nerfed, and that cooldown is now something in the 20-25 second mark before you start putting points into it, and that is a huge cooldown. If you're Rakan, you get to kind of throw around your abilities a little bit more. He has the coin, so he has that mana sustain. As this is a repeat.
Yeah, looks like the Wall of Pain's coming up. Brelm is going to walk around, and Spooks actually doesn't get too many opportunities to fire down any magic damage.
Yeah.
So it's a good turnaround from Ryoma.
Very timely proc of the phase rush there, gets Ryoma the fancy feat to be able to run away. Has his tier and is just looking to farm up this matchup as much as possible.
Yeah. Bottom lane, though, does speak volumes that Bombers felt pretty confident they could play into the Xayah Rakan combination.
Yeah.
To just give that one away.
Because overall, in terms of this series as a whole, we're in game number 1. But you saw the Zyra Khan get played into Mammoth, and then immediately, I believe it got banned away, or something, or like in the AV series, the same sort of thing. It was always a Zyra ban coming from the opponents to split it up. If they've shown that they can play Ashe, Tahm, Kench into this matchup, and they're all...
Swiffer gonna get caught out. Balkan finds him on the crossplay. He will take the claw over to safety, but still, that's gonna be a back.
Yep, we'll have to recall, has the TP. But to finish my point, like, this is a play that is beneficial as the series goes on longer and longer. You've now shown that a big pressure point of Order, like, is rendered moot, is rendered useless. Like, Zyra Khan aren't useless champions, but if you can play this sort of thing into it and get away with it, then you're feeling very happy as a Bombers fan.
And they're going to slow them down consistently. Not only do they force another back here out of Dream and Jake, but you just look at the CS difference, 61 to 38. Double long swords, a Doran shield, and a Cole compared to an already completed Vamp Scepter. I mean, that is a bargain bucket if you're Dream.
Yep. Certainly is the case. We are reaching a couple of breakpoints here. Karthus now is level 6 as his red buff is getting taken away, but he's opting for the trade on the other side of the map. Knows exactly what's going on. Here we go.
Oh, Mimic. All right, into the Slicing Maelstrom. He went.
Tally?
It even flashes away from Tally on the Decimating Smash, and in comes the Scion trying to get the last kill on the zombie mode, but Mimic is just too fast.
And he was desperately looking for an auto attack because Spooks is level 6. He can channel the ulti, the Requiem come down, and maybe they can look for a trade kill, but Tally with the Spellbook ignites. Mimic looks for the 1v1, can't find it, and that's disastrous for the top laner that's been playing so well for the entirety of this gauntlet.
And Order opted into that matchup top side. Mimic still showcasing on this champion especially. He is a formidable foe, and that is going to be the first Infernal Dragon taken by Bombers on the tempo play. And you know what that means as well, Bryce?
Yeah, get yourself some skins, you know. That's a cheeky pizza every now and again. I like that one.
That's pretty good stuff. You can go ahead and log on and get that, and then first 1,000 players to do so will receive that
first in,
separate
best
skin. Good stuff. But yeah, we're only 8 minutes into this game. Bombers already taking a pretty sizable lead. I mean, I don't want to say decisive, but they certainly have been. It's a 2,000 gold advantage.
Like, sizable is right. 2K at 8 minutes is actually fairly decent. It's not like their composition is heavily early game focused. They scale fine. They've got a Ryze. They've got an Ashe. They have
a lot of
these
it's in the
tools.
bot lane too, though, right?
Yeah, they have these tools that we'll track on later and later. Swiffer is looking for a return gank here onto Mimic.
I think he's wise to it right now.
He is flashless right now, and Tally may have given it up a little bit, but Swiffer has flash. He can force it if he wants to.
Doesn't look like he wants to. Instead, they're going to leave Spooks in the mid lane to really hold on to that. Or does get placed down by Mimic a little bit afterwards. And Order definitely trying to make some plays here, keep the pressure on, but Bombers, they've so far sniffed every attempt out.
Yeah, Balkan looking for another opportunity down here. They have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, level 5 apiece for the Order bottom lane, so this is the level advantage across the board, and Balkan will show his head.
You'd think they have to give this up, 100%. They're going to try and pick up a little bit. Spooks is here as well. Balkan takes a lot of damage from the turret shot, but there's always the Tahm Kench to deny. So many turret plates have been picked up here by Bombers. And this is what makes them such a strong team. They're making Dream and Jake look like their regular season selves, not that high-pressure, high-tempo bottom lane that they had leveled up into in the Gauntlet.
And you mentioned turret plates, and I feel like that's an interesting point. To talk about stats, like here and there individually, they don't tell a huge picture, but over the course of the 10 weeks in the OPL, right? Like, Bombers were, hold that thought, this is an engage.
There's the quickness and the charm up, the Featherstorm coming through, Requiem coming down, there's the Crystal Arrow, and FBI is taken out by Spooks. Will Jake, though, meet the same fate at the hands of Rogue? He certainly does. It's a 1-for-1 trade with a jungle assist.
Yeah, they do get the flash out of FBI, and he doesn't have TP available, so Dream is going to catch up a little bit in terms of CS. He will get to shove this wave in. I will say Tahm Kench, one of the best supports at being able to counter-kill an AD carry or a support. When they force in, he does a whole boatload of damage, but Balkan may have just found Spooks here on the blue buff. And
he has.
Pretty low mana.
Oh, and he puts him into the Thunderdome. Looks like he's going to force the attempt from Tally to come through. And he flashes immediately following here. Tally trying to get a bit of revenge as he's cut off Balkan. Swiffer going to come through. The Gromp is aggroed in all of it. Balkan should be going down. Great predicting. Now Mimic is actually caught up in a 1v2. This is a chance for Order to turn things around here as Ryoma is coming to join the fray as well. Swiffer trying to walk in, and he's going golden. There's Mimic backing away. Joins the team. Into the belly of Rogue he goes.
And both supports rock up to the top side of the map, and it is just going to end up being that 1-for-1 trade. Spooks goes down, as does the jungler in Bombers and Balkan. Abyssal Voyage lets Rogue cheat a little bit of time there, but I feel like you have to say that was a bit of a late rotation from Ryoma. He was just sitting in mid lane, pushing that wave for a very long time, and they take the blue buff. This is a very nice trade from FBI.
Yeah, it is. Dream already down past half his health bar here, and such a frustrating thing if you're a Xayah player, just seeing yourself get outranged time and again. And this tower is taking so much punishment from FBI. All the turret plates fallen.
Yeah, you can see so much gold. If we could toggle that, Mr. Observer, FBI is going to be monstrously ahead. 1.3k.
You got to rename him to IRS after this.
Yes, that's a BF sword worth of gold, right? Like, he's gone back, he's already picked up the balk, and Dream is sitting on pickaxe and longsword. He's got the scraps of a first item.
Yep.
Gets balked in the head. FBI, you mentioned the range advantage, just right-clicks him a couple of times, and that's a first brick solo turret gold, plus all of the 5 plates. It's pre-14 minutes. 610, this guy is monstrous.
Oh, he is going absolutely nuts. FBI and Rogan, you got to think there's a bit of a grudge match going on here in the bottom lane too. The former Order bottom lane going up against the new one. You even heard it from Victor in the, you know, some of the pre-show videos talking about, hey, you know, we just want to smash them. So far, so good. 3,000, almost 4,000 gold advantage for Bombers, and an Infernal Dragon to boot. They're definitely entering this mid-game in well and truly ahead of the game.
And you have to take a look at the comps as well, because a lot of the early game success of Bombers during the season comes from Balkan, and this game is no exception, right? He shows his face, he gets the double scuttle. He's against a Karthus, right? So Karthus can't really compete that early, and that's why you see it not picked up all that much in the Oceanic region, but he picks on Swiffer, he dives bottom lane literally level 2. They get a huge advantage. He comes down, gives them another couple of plates, and all of a sudden FBI is approaching like the second item mark before Dream is even going to have his first. He's got the completed tier 2 boots, so this is a team that plays very well around their jungler, and they're just continuing to do so.
And they play well solo. Look, Balkan sniffing in the wings, waiting to see if he can find an opportunity to get onto Swiffer. Instead, he just watches the trade happen between Ryoma and Swiffer. Mimic contesting on the Krugs as well. And Bombers, they just make you fight for every inch of territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Mimic just contesting the golems. Balkan is around here, so if Swiffer took that claw, would have been dangerous territory. I'm actually interested to see them flip the map. I was looking at the countdown of the dragon and being like, this must be an air dragon, it must be an ocean dragon, something they don't care about that much, but Bombers are just so confident in their solo lanes right now. Their bottom lane absolutely will get priority, and they could have chosen to keep them down here and just continue pressuring, get the dragon, and then play the other side, but they're looking at Mimic, and he's going into Tally on the Scion. There's no turret, so he has the time to push that wave in fairly deep and then walk back to the dragon. They're able to play, honestly, towards... like, it's not their weak-ish side of the map, because it is just an Ashe Calm Kench. The force isn't great there, but they are the ones that are ahead, and they flip the map and still get the Earth Dragon to track on later.
Yeah, Bombers really walking away with the lion's share of just about everything. The Mountain Drake certainly will help them in trying to knock down more of these towers. Laning phase, the traditional one anyways, had ended, and we weren't even out of the 14-minute point where the turret plates do fall. And you got to think Order, they're not going to be able to pick up too many of these in the next 30 seconds, so they're going to be significantly down, 4,000 gold as we go. And that gold lead just does keep going in Bombers' favor. What can Order do to stabilize here?
Well, that's the thing. We've seen them do this before. Game 1 versus AV, they forced super hard in so many areas and fell significantly far behind. This was just a week ago, right? Like, it's a week into that series, and then they turn around and they get the 3-0, right? This is a team fight composition. They have a Karthus, they have the engage of that Scion, Lys, Rakan, that combo. That's a triple layer. Cleanse isn't going to save you from 3 things. Neither is QSS, neither is a Tahm Kench. They all have this one button available. Order still do have the one team fight Dream alive, and that will be alive the entirety of this game. As gold trends towards the Bomber side of the map, obviously it becomes significantly harder to engineer those situations, but if they find it, if Bombers misplay, if they step up into a choke, they land the CC, this game could just completely turn around.
Gonna be watching and waiting for that to happen. Some vision control here secured by Order towards this top side. As you can see, Spooks and Swiffer going on a bit of a roam themselves. They should get caught out. Spotted by that ward as the speedy Karthus comes on up. And Dream in a little bit of trouble as the arrow is dodged out. And in comes Swiffer and Spooks looking for this play. Balkan is there as well. And Mimic just deletes the Karthus off the map. It's one quick kill, and in comes the Requiem. Scion Speedway looking for Rogue, and they've benched the Kench for just a few more seconds, but Tally still going to have a hard time getting out of this one as Balkan puts him inside the cage, and it's a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, they get the 2-for-1, and FBI's channeling Recall. He's going to TP back to the plate and
Not
looking
done
for more.
yet. Mimic takes down the Xayah. Dream's out of this one, and Jake is going to be forced to go golden, but he's going to get out of there, and he's second now. Flashing forward, it's Ryoma on the finisher. That's a 4-kill for 1.
And Order, they hard forced that play, but you heard Rusty in the pregame. He talks about Bombers are so effective at using their TPs from the cross map. Mimic gets there early. He blows up Spooks, who is honestly doing Karthus things, right? He wants to get into the front line, wants to die to be able to just start channeling abilities, but that goes disastrously wrong. We were talking about a 4K gold lead. Try a 6,000 and a Rift Herald at 15 minutes.
Well, Order had that hard force, but it looks like Bombers read that play incredibly well, Bryce, and they just get everything off the back of it. 4 kills, pressure on the tower, Rift Herald in plain vision. they are walking away with this mid-game.
Yeah, the carries just didn't die. Ryoma wasn't even there at the fight yet, but they could not kill FBI. We're going to take another look at how this starts, and that's the key. Jake has to burn ulti to keep the bottom lane alive, and Order are trying to make like a play out of nothing. Tally arrives first, this is good, but Spooks just dies immediately. FBI just sits here, starts channeling Recall, he doesn't die to the Requiem. As we see the rest of the fight play out, Ryoma finally arrives. Tally is just not tanky enough, standing at the front, tanking 2 carries in the Kennen and the Rise, and they just didn't have the abilities. Order, they do have that one team fight Dream, but if it's coming on the back end of Dream getting chunked out and you're having to re-engage the fight, that's already a deficit when they're already behind, and Bombers, they punish so incredibly hard.
And Ryoma might have been fashionably late, but he still managed to get himself a kill at the end of it, flashing under the tower. And even Swiffer nearly died there because you could see him sitting and trying to clear waves while FBI was pumping him full of arrows.
Yep. Because they are all just like the one buttons. Rakan has the one button to go in. Liss has the one button to go in. If those buttons don't line up, then that's the sort of team fight you can expect. Infernal Dragon makes it infinitely harder.
Oh, yeah, it does. Swiffer goes in, looks for the play onto Ryoma, but look at that. Even so, he's punished into the minion wave. Arrow comes through. It does land onto the back of Jake, but he's still able to walk away. Rift Herald, though, this is the real goal. Bombers, they just wanted to get the objective, opening it up, and a charge from Shelly is going to be enough to crack that tower. Number 2 now for the Bombers.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to whack this into the inner turret as well. So plating is down. We are after the 14-minute mark, but that damage is going to stick. About half HP, and they completely open up this side of the map. 40 seconds on the Dragon. I'm not too sure what the next spawn will be, but Swiffer's looking for more onto Ryoma.
Still tries to find this fight, but Ryoma is just such a tanky boy here as he cleanses out of the ult. Oh, no!
And this is disastrous from Order. They're looking. He's actually going for the 1v2. Takes the Realm Warp.
He is feeling himself right now. I don't know if he's going to get that. Maybe he can. Spooks gets the outplay, but that was a bit of a loaded one.
Yeah, a little bit of ambitious
Look at Spooks in the camera. He just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and also Tommy. Like, Ryoma was laughing in the player cam as well. You saw FBI throws an arrow into nothing in the mid lane. It just hits Jake in the back of the head, and he's like, yeah, guys, all I wanted was the turret. Ryoma, feeling himself absolutely, gets the 1v1 kill versus Swiffer. Looks for a little bit more.
Gifts a bit of gold over to Spook's pocket, but all the same, Bombers still in a very healthy, commanding lead here, and they'll secure themselves another Mountain Drake. The Dragons have been absolutely favoring the Bombers this game.
Absolutely. And it's going to be very difficult. Their team comp is incredibly good at doing Baron. They have a tank in the Jarvan. He's gone for the Hex Drinker, so he's not the tankiest towards the big purple worm, but they have all the damage they need with a Rise, with an Ashe.
And they got a Tom Kench as well. Grey health counts for a lot, even if you're on support items.
And not to mention, like, they have enough control right now to just start setting up the top side of the map. Wait for Mimic's TP. He's going to get work done down here eventually, but you don't pick Kennen into Sion so that he can split push. Yes, he does kind of push him around a little bit, but you want to bring him to the group. And once that TP's online, we've seen him do this before in multiple weeks of the OPL. Mimic's TP flanks can be game-breaking, and I expect that to be the trajectory here for Bombers.
Bombers, all they got to watch out for is those big wombos of the fights, but they've already turned back in Order advance a couple of times. Really good, slippery team play. Let's see as the items do start to get completed, though, on the Order side. Tally, of course, a while back had actually already finished his Locket, but he goes for a Knight's Vow, so he is full-on protect the carry.
He's gone for the LPL Sion build, and Pabu's going to like that one. All they do is just, they're like, guys, I'm playing Sion, I'm a second support. Dream, I'm going to keep you alive, bud. That's Locket.
Yeah, he's
got a bunch of HP to use that shield with, and that's a Knight's Vow.
He's cosplaying the Mountain from Game of Thrones, you know? He's going to put that big old helm on and just be a big, ugly zombie.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
It protects, you know? So that means, I guess, Dream is Cersei then.
Yeah,
or is it Swiffer?
I like that, yeah. I mean, I feel like it has to be Dream.
Yeah.
Liss is going into the fight. You want to keep Dream alive. He's
That's
the one
true. He's
that
going to be
needs
sitting in the back, chucking feathers.
Swiffer has Aftershock. You know, that rune's busted. Like, he's fine. He's got the...
I mean, yeah, but
he's got
he might have it, but he's looking a little fragile
to
compared to Ryoma right now, who's running the phase rush. That's the thing, is Aftershock might make you beefy, but not enough.
He just needs the engage, right? Like, phase rush has served Ryoma so incredibly well over the course of this game. Anytime Swiffer has looked for something, he's procced the 3 abilities and he's just kind of zoomed away from a Karthus, and all you've got is that slow. There's not a lot of CC that can come down after Swiffer uses his, and when you have the cleanse available, the CC reduction, like, you're going to pop the cleanse on the W, then you're going to use that reduction on the ulti.
It's a good move by Order right there to actually secure Scuttle Vision. They had an opportunity while there were a couple of resets from the Bomber side. So this does mean Order actually have a little bit of vision, a little bit of control to try and deny a Baron take by Bombers, but it's going to go so fast.
Yeah, they need something, right? And that was a good opportunity. Balkan is just shepherding his laners right now and actually is looking for Swiffer.
And Swiffer turns around. He realizes he might not live through this, and he does put himself into the Frozen Tomb. Spooks is coming to tag his way in, but the Tom Kench coming up as well. I don't know if Order wanted this fight into Rune Prison. They go, it's Jake. He can't get anybody else. He finds the charm finally onto Ryoma, who flashes away, and Balkan keeps Jake at bay. Mimic will knock him down, and it's Order tagging their way into disaster as Tally will be forced to sacrifice his life. Balkan takes the flag and drag away, and Order just do not find their mark. So close to taking down Balkan and Rogue, but nothing doing.
And once again, it is one of these fights where Bombers get there first. Order are continually looking for the re-engage. Swiffer has to blow his cooldowns to keep himself alive as the rest of the roster comes straggling in from the sides, and this is a Baron started. It's going so quickly.
They're going to TP in for it anyways. They know Smite fight. This is going to happen either way right now. And Double Mountain, such a strong team fight available. They're just going to go in. Tally, last of his health bar, trying to get a kill, but Swiffer is just going to end up sacrificing himself alongside the Tyon.
And unfortunately for Tally, he's absolutely the last of his name there, and he goes down. That's a 0-3 Scion. Not looking very tanky when you don't have teammates behind you. And Baron picked up 22 minutes. Gold lead hitting 10,000. For a team where we talked about momentum, Order was carrying through the gauntlet, Bombers 100% have put a stop to that this game.
Now that is an understatement if you can here. And now Bombers can do what they do best and just split the map across the board. Yes, Mimic can be an absolute teamfight monster, but on 404, well, I don't think you're going to find a whole lot of Order really up to contesting him. Or any of the team for that matter. This is how confident they feel. They have so much gold ahead, they can invest in all sorts of things. The QSS picked up by Rogue.
I actually like that a lot. Like, he has one job, and it's to keep people alive. FBI specifically goes for the TP to get himself around the map, but also for the laning phase, like buy access to farm and kind of have that extra tempo. He doesn't go cleanse against like a Lissandra composition where you could make that decision. So if Rogue is caught in Liss's CC, which probably will be the one to catch him, he is useless. If he cannot keep FBI alive, then FBI has no chance living, and QSS, like, his team's winning. He's not gonna be that squishy in a team fight because Order don't have the extra resources to expend onto Rogue. And honestly, the decision makes sense. I like it. It's gonna keep them up for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Bombers continuing to crumble towers here on the Order side. Order, for their mark, have not been able to secure a single one this game just because the game is trended so lopsided here. Death Brush is being set up, but they're too deep in Order territory because Bombers own so much of the vision in this Order jungle. And now they can keep Ryoma on one side. Dream taking so much punishment from FBI, who has just absolutely rock and rolled this entire Order lineup so far today.
Yeah, and you can see Dream was, Jake was actually looking for something, right? He eased forward and kind of postures up, looking for the quickness. Balkan takes a piece of them, but this is onto Mimic.
Yeah, 2-on-1 to Mimic, but he's never alone, is he? Tom Kench comes out of nowhere, and Tally takes an arrow to the face. I think his adventuring days are going to be over pretty soon here as Balkan flags and drags his way in. Charm up onto Balkan. Can they take him down? The Requiem's coming. Misses onto Balkan as he tags Tally for the final shot. It's a 1-for-1 trade, however.
Yeah, and a 1-for-1, but it's a straight up 4 versus 5. Ryoma, he has the Realm Warp, but he doesn't even come to the play. He's like, boys, I'm pushing top. What are you doing? Get out of the fight. I'm just doing work up here. So that may just be an inhib falling down. The Baron creeps and wave clear from the Rise are going to serve him well, and you see Order are tracking bot side. They choose to defend the one. They cannot defend both, and that's inhib gone. Bombers are still on the map.
We're not even 25 minutes into this game, and it's already the base been broken open. Rogue doing double time here to keep his carries alive. Balkan does die, but that is such a small price to pay for what Bombers have been able to open up there. Multiple towers, inhibitor on top side.
And this is really the thing. I feel like as you're tracking Order over the course of the gauntlet, we saw a lot of teams buy into the team fight. Everybody was looking to match, and Bombers, they've gone for the hard discipline play. Rogue, in all of the Bombers content, talks about like the trust between their teammates and like they like to play and think they play with a lot of discipline. This is a comp where they play the 3 lanes. Ryoma's top side, Mimic gets engaged on, and he's like, Tom Kench, I'm coming. Like, we will be there at the fight eventually. They're not looking to play the 1-lane style where the Scion head rams up mid. They're looking to spread Order apart, and honestly, it's working right now. 12,000 gold lead, inhib broken. This game's looking good.
Hard to see a world in which Bombers end up losing out on this one. Look at this, Ryoma just chasing down the sign. That's a 3-level advantage for the Rise, and he just zooms up the line. You
saw Spooks kind of like poke his head around and was like, man, I got nothing for you. I can't help you in that regard.
He's a spooky ghosty boy, but he's not very tanky, unfortunately. The Karthus really had a hard time getting rolling, and now he does have a Void Staff. He still stings, but the problem is Bombers are hitting like a hammer.
Yeah, and it really did start fairly early on into the game. It was like the dive and the subsequent ganks that Balkan was able to pull off, whereas Order looked for things and tried to clean up with a Requiem, but unfortunately they just couldn't land, and then snowballing that lead forward, it is the Infernal Punish, it is the Mountain Punish, and this game trajectory just getting grimmer and grimmer. That's an arrow. Oh, dodged.
Does get dodged out, but Spooks, I don't think it'll matter too much for him. He's got absolutely nowhere to go, and you know, I really do think it comes down to the way they drafted this out. You know, they denied a lot of the power picks that Spooks had been going for, the Zac, the Urgod, in that second phase. I wonder if your Order, if you don't go back to that drawing board and say, look, we need to get these earlier. Spooks had such a significant performance in the Gauntlet.
Yeah, because this is a completely different style. This is much more passive, much more laid back. It's not an Urgot, it's not a Lee Sin or anything. That's a Realm Warp. Here they go.
Balkan starting to fight up, right? Jake trying to charm everybody, but I don't know if charm is going to be enough to win this game on its own. Bombers all on top of the Nexus right here as Ryoma leading the last of the minions in as Mimic goes through, looks for Dream, looks for Swiffer, looks for everybody. That's a lot of damage onto him, but Rogue does get a swallow for just a second. A big decimating smash onto FBI. And here comes the Requiem Conducted. And maybe the fight can turn, but Mimic still takes out Jake off the back. Rogue is going to fall. Dream going through, looking for Ryoma, looking for Mimic. The big shutdown. They've got gold in their pockets.
And all of a sudden, Dream has 4 kills to boot. The Baron is spawning in 30 seconds, and this is Bombers just playing with their food, trying to look for an end they probably shouldn't have gone for, and they hard force that fight. It's a flash commit from Balkan. They don't find the team fight, and are Order back in the game.
You can't back Order against the corner and expect them not to fight back. Bombers, they've been doing such a great job of splitting Order apart, but when it's in their base, there's nowhere to split them anymore. So they get the fight, desperation, but they managed to pull it off at 27.5 minutes, and there is a chance, albeit a very slim one, to keep this game alive. But keep your eye on Mimic and his teleport, because he's going to spend it right now to get to mid lane.
The important thing is control, and unfortunately for Order, Jake isn't on the map to be able to afford them that luxury. He's the man with wards that can potentially get some flanks there for Swiffer so that they can find a team fight that looks good for them around the Baron, but it was just Spooks. He's a control ward to place. It was just Dream. All he's got is that far side orb, the blue trinket, so not a whole lot of vision actually gained off the back end of the team fight. This is one of those situations where you're Order and it's multiple team fights that get you back into the game.
But they need to start somewhere, and right now the Baron being taken down without a challenge, as everyone from the Order side is just going to go ahead and be on wave clear duty. With double mountains, with all the damage that they've got in items, it is an easy clear up.
Yep.
It's like doing a raid when you're over leveled.
A little bit of a misstep, and they certainly passed the gear check there. Tom Kench gets him into the pit, and that Baron just gets completely one-shot. You saw Order, they actively gave that one up. They didn't even look to contest. They're like, yeah, they're going to get it. We have no control. If we face check, we will die and lose the game. So
they did get some items, though, on the back. So, like, now the Infinity Edge completed for Dream. They have more of a chance in these team fights. The problem is
Spooks.
They can't afford to get caught out like this. Spooks is flashing, and he's trying to do a zoom to get the heck out of dodge right now, but Ryoma and Mimic chase him down, put him in Rune Prison, and then 6 feet under.
Yeah, and that's super unfortunate. Spooks has just been caught twice in a row. Once doing Wolves, now doing Golems, desperately fishing for that farm. The Karthus wants to scale up and do a bunch of Karthus things in the late game. He does have so much damage potential, but this could just be another 4v5 team fight where Bombers look to go.
Well, Bombers have already been winning 4v5s when they don't have the numbers, so this is looking real rough for Order. As the Bombers march into the front door here, going to be an easy take of this inhibitor turret. Tally, Dream, Jake, and Swift are all mobilizing for the defense, but they've got to watch out for Ryoma and Mimic on the bottom side as well. They're losing ground by the second.
And Bombers, they don't have flash on Balkan.
There's the arrow. It does miss. Splitting the uprights, but that's going to be one inhibitor. The third will fall, and now all they got to do for Bombers is rotate up to the top, take that last one out, and it's only going to be Nexus super minions in all lanes. Double super minions if they can get it, but here comes the Scion speed car, looking for FBI, looking for Rogue. They do get one. Jake going to the back lane, but Balkan doing the same in kind. Dream does take down Rogue. Do they have the damage? Balkan keeping him locked up in the pit, as that's going to be the double kill for Spooks off the back of his res, and they have managed to take the fight. Ryoma is the only one standing.
And a 1,000 gold shutdown on the back of a triple kill for Spooks after he gets caught in order to do it back-to-back team fights in the base. Bombers look to end, but they lose twice. Now this gold lead is shrinking. Order look like they're holding on in this game, and FBI just can't stay alive in this fight. It's Jake finding the engage. Order, they're landing their one-button composition, and it's bloody working.
Order managing to win back-to-back fights in their base. Here it is again.
And Ryoma's just off to the side. He is not dealing damage at any relevant point in the fight. Mimic now looks to turn this one around, but Spooks is back up and available. Dream is alive. He gets the free hit with the Featherstorm. Tally is the tankiest man alive right now, and as soon as they get the one kill, their teamfighter just steamrolls over the top. This is getting into dangerous territory. You look at the numbers, you're like, wow, 10,000 gold lead. Look at all the dragons compared to an air.
But it's been higher.
Yeah, Bombers are in such a good position, but we talk about momentum for Order in the Gauntlet. This has completely swung back. Bombers, they cannot close this game out, and Order, they're slowly, ever so slowly catching this one up.
Yeah, now they do need to hang tight for a little while, though, because they do have a couple of downed inhibitors in the mid and the bottom,
Yeah.
so they're going to have to really hold on to their base for a little while.
But there's also just nothing on the map to play for. There's no Elder Dragon for at least another couple of minutes, like
There's no
4
Baron.
minutes. There's no Baron. They just picked that one up, looked to use it, and then died immediately. So they're just going to farm up the waves, and a lot of people like to joke around, like, oh yeah, take my inhib, please. It's just a bunch of free farm, and Order are certainly going to be in that boat right now, just looking to farm this game up as much as possible, and then maybe they can get another item, right? Like maybe it's the Ardent Center completed for Jake. Maybe it's the Morellos potentially finished here for Spooks, and the Karthus does that little bit of extra damage. And if they can just continually hang on, maybe the next Baron fight is the point, like is the fulcrum with which this game swings over.
Volcan has to be careful not to get too close here, but you can still see Bombers trying to drag and draw Order out of their own base, but they are hunkering down, playing that Turtle League of Legends well. And that gold lead, as you mentioned, it's been as high as 10,000 higher than that, but it is starting to shrink down. And, well, that inhibitor might fall on the top, but I don't think Order are as worried about that because they were on the precipice of losing before, and they do actually manage to defend it.
You'd rather hold on than lose your Nexus, as this is actually an interesting play.
They
Order are
turn,
looking to go in.
And they've gotten onto Mimic. Do they have the damage to take him down, though? Jake forced to flash away, and he's going to certainly die. Spooks has gone down in this one, but so is Balkan. Requiem coming through. Ryoma trying to get the kill. Onto Swiffer. Doesn't quite manage it, but look at the three. They're on the Nexus. Mimic, he's going golden, but it's going to be FBI into the belly of the Tom Kench, and they have managed to hang on. The flash is not enough.
And 3 back-to-back team fights underneath their Nexus. You see Dream popping off in the player cams. Order, this may have been the point. This is where the game swings back. They have absolutely no inhibs to their name.
They barely got a Nexus, Bryce.
But there's like 0 flashes up and available. We see how the other side turned out. Spooks just gets 1 hit, but you're trading a 1-for-1 with a Karthus. Look how much damage the Requiem does onto Ryoma. And he's already a pretty tanky boy, but this is the hard commit to the end. Take a look at Rogue at the back end. He's a Tom Kench flashing desperately for the play. Like, this is desperation coming out of Bombers. They have struggled to close this game out for the last 10 minutes, and the gold lead is shrinking. Order's momentum is just ramping up, and this game is turning around.
And all of a sudden, you're starting to see the items really filled out where they were denied so much gold on the Order side for most of this game.
Yes.
Dream has now picked himself up 4 items.
Can we take a toggle of the gold?
Please.
Because Ash was so far ahead. He was like 1,000 gold up at
actually losing in farm
like
now.
10 minutes, and now he's 30 CS down. Dream is 8-2 out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so
there you go.
Like, yeah, he's actually got a gold lead now.
Yeah, that's a significant turnaround. You don't look at like 1.5k and be like, wow, he's super far ahead. It's the fact that he was like 1.5, 2, 3k down, and the turnaround play. But as you mentioned,
this is a Baron play. And I almost feel like if you're Order, you just give it away because they've already beaten Bombers with Baron multiple times.
Yeah, you can see where their pink wards are right now. They're like sitting there in their base, like, do they have a ward? If we contest Baron, FBI has TP. You're not worried about Mimic auto attacks onto a Nexus, but if FBI gets in there alone, then your Nexus is dead and you lose the game. So they're like, we cannot leave our base. If we leave our base, they backdoor, we lose the game immediately. They've won 2 team fights against a 10k gold lead Bombers with a Baron buff before. They're just banking on doing it again. It's now a QSS for Dream, an Ardent Sensor for the Rakan, and a Redemption for Tally. He's gone triple support item here. And
he is a second support at this point. And by the way, he's also got an Ignite off of his spellbook, so they're going all in for the plays this time around. So, flashes on most of the Order members outside of Dream. Everybody else has different summoners thanks to those spellbooks.
And for the other side, Mimic is the only one with a flash available.
Oh boy.
Oh, here they go.
Looking for Mimic. Swiffer's on top of him, gets him stunned up in the cage. But meanwhile, here comes Balkan, and the fight is going to be on. Big charge, big knockup. They've got the damage. Dream with the legendary kill, but Balkan is trying to end it with Mimic. I can't believe how that game just ended.
And what just happened in game number 1? This is a bloody series already. FBI, you can see on your screen right now, he's like, calm it down, boys, it's fine. It took a long time, but eventually we got the end. And
what the heck was that, Bryce? It was multiple attempts on the Nexus, and talk about running a gauntlet. That was a long game for Bombers to try and close out.
To take a step back, that was a much longer game than necessary. Order lose that game, but it still does bode well. But Bombers, from early start, like it's a 2,000 goal lead at 8 minutes. It just grows and grows and grows. The end of the, like what? First game of the best of 5.
Bryce,
like,
that was a roller coaster. The problem was the roller coaster just went like this for like 20 minutes, and then the first drop was insane.
Yeah, that was like you. Well, I talked about it multiple times, right? Like it's the turning point where like Order need multiple team fights to get back in this game, and we're gonna take a look at what actually happened because we were looking at Swiffer look for Dream, but that look for Mimic on the other side, but the turnaround from Jake gets a triple ulti into the knock-up, but the hard commit once again. We mentioned Mimic was the only one with flash. He flashes to auto-attack the Nexus, and Balkan just slaps it with a Jarvan. That's a takedown, and that's a way to win game number 1.
Well, nothing orderly about that, but Order did nearly bring it back from the brink, but we will be sending it out to a quick Macca's break before we go to the couch.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast, so we're getting rid of them. Now you can enjoy dinner or breakfast whenever you want it. McDonald's all-day menu, available 24/7.
Well, I'm glad we dressed up for this one. My God, we have a series, as Bryce said at the desk. Obviously, let's weigh this towards the back half of the game, but let's just step through. Starting with the draft, we spoke about how Order last week playing a lot of champs that they know, and then Spooks picks up Karthus, a champion he's never played competitively.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks for Spooks on a strange pick. It was Yurgot the first time around. Now it's going to be the Karthus, apparently, and had a pretty good performance on it, you have to say, all things considered. Bit of a wonky draft from Order because you have AP mid laner, AP jungler, and tank AP top laner, so certainly hard to get through the early game, and I know that we're going to have a little bit of tension there, but overall, the pick was good.
Yeah, I mean, the pick itself seemed fine, right? And the Order composition, definitely like you highlight, did have some concerns with it, but the thing that I don't like about the Order comp is how it goes against their opponents. And I don't mean draft versus draft. I just mean stylistically, right? Because I like the picks and that they scale well. But giving early game space to a team like Bombers is always going to be one of the biggest risks that you'll take in League of Legends. And, you know, they are so good at punishing. They are just so good at playing for one place on the map and winning through it. And that's what they kind of were allowed to do in this case, through the bottom side of the map, simply because it was a Karthus, right? If that was an aggressive jungler, maybe the dive bottom isn't as possible. But you know that he's full clearing and you get that vision, that knowledge. And it does actually enable Bombers to make the play.
Yeah, because it was a little bit strange, right? Because let's break down how this game happened. So Balkan starts red buff with a leash from Mimic.
Yep.
Of course, that's where he always starts. Does Raptor Camp into Scuttle Crab.
Yep.
Every single time I've seen him play Jarvan, he does this path. So it's very standard. Crosses mid into second Scuttle Crab, and you're like, okay, why isn't Spooks taking his side of this jungle? Order don't leash Karthus, which is an okay decision, you know. I played a little bit of Karthus. He jungles fine without a leash. He doesn't go low on health or anything like that. But that, you know, 15 extra seconds of a couple of auto attacks is time. That means that Balkan just owns the whole river, which means he gets to choose whether he ganks top first or ganks bottom. Spooks, you could see, path top. He thought it was going for a top lane gank. It wasn't. It was build a wave and dive bot. How the wave got built, you have to assume that, you know, Order just ceded some pressure, given no combat spells, maybe thought they could live through the dive, but didn't take into account the Tahm Kench's great health. So it was really well executed from the Bombers. That was a great first play of the game.
Yeah, and one consideration there as well is, like, if you are the Karthus and you know that they have control of the bot side jungle, even if you're the Rakan, and your bot lane, they don't have control of that area of the map, you can't ward it. It's not safe, right? And through that inability to even place vision, they don't know. So Spooks being on one side of the map is purely an assumption, and because their opponents do the opposite, they just get played for it.
And FBI had a great start to this game as well. He was putting on so much pressure throughout the whole early game.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what you have to be able to do with Tahm Kench lanes, right? You have to be able to 1v2. Like, you need to be able to, like, trade out enough damage as the AD carry and rely on Jake to, like, hit crucial tongue lashes, but then save you from the big burst of damage. So the idea is, you know, you time your trade with, you know, maybe you like stack your Q on some minions, get a couple of Q shots into a W, and then as they get the feathers down, you know, you start walking back, Jake scoops you up, Rogue scoops you up, and you're really nice and safe. So I think that they played that early laning phase really well.
Absolutely.
Hit turrets with impunity, like did exactly what you want an Ashe Tahm Kench lane to do.
Massive CS lead as well, and like being the engaged Chili didn't even use his Ashe ultimates for long range engages. He did it just for damage a lot of the time, or to try and trade ultimates with Dream. So, you know, overall, FBI, up until he built the items that he did have a very good game for himself. Until he went the double lifeline passive, you cannot get away with that one, FBI.
Yeah,
it actually does come to hurt him a bit later in the game.
And so then, I mean, I feel like we were watching this game when it got to that top lane fight mid game, which was just nearly the team wipe for Order. We were like, oh, it's probably over for Order here, and getting ready for heading into game number 2. Obviously, it got more interesting after that, but that fight felt like up until the end, it was inevitable for Order.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Order rolled the dice. They're like, we're going to be quicker on this rotation. We are the primary English-speaking roster. They're a bilingual roster. Like, let's put some screws on them. Let's force a really quick team fight. So Tally's in there like straight away as soon as that fight goes. A couple of big problems. FBI lived on sub 100 health somehow. If he dies, he doesn't teleport back in. That fight's a lot different, I think. The other thing was Dream got forced out and got 0 auto attacks the whole fight, which is, just inexcusable as a Xayah. You rely on so much of her zoning and damage in those fights. I think everyone else from Order played it like okay until they didn't give up the creep wave. But this is just a Bombers team that, they get 10% more out of every champion. And when you do that across 5, like the team fights are very clean.
And that is something that seems to separate Bombers from every other team in the league right now as well. Order, they've made the run. In any other gauntlet, that may have been a fight that they won. But Bombers are that 10% extra team. They are able to punish that. They wait enough time. They go down the river towards Roma where he's rotating, and suddenly they get the re-engage and they're able to make these plays happen. And this is something that Order need to take into consideration. Against a side like Bombers, you will get punished, even for the smallest of mistakes.
And so when Bombers took the win, if it hadn't been for the last sort of 7 or 8 minutes of the match, I would have gone, how do Bombers feel about breaking Order's momentum
Well, it
here?
was more than that. It was like 15 minutes of the match because they took 2 additional Barons, and that's a 6-minute cooldown. So they legitimately wasted half their game. Like, we would nearly be like through Champion Select. At this point, FBI has another 30 CS lead and 2 turrets on the map. Like, that is how long they stuffed around for in this game.
And so what does that do to Bombers and to Order here? Order, not necessarily losing as much momentum as we could have thought if they lost this first game.
Looked like they played themselves back into form, if you're going to call a spade a spade. They looked pretty terrible at the start of this game. And then by the end of the team fight, Stream was like popping off out of his chair. Like Swiffer was back to dancing. Like, in all seriousness, what it does to Order is like, hey, if we pick scaling and we live early game, we're better team fighters than them when it comes into the 5v5. So I think that, that's something you can look at. On the flip side, like, what does it do for Bombers? I don't think anything. Like, they're a team that laughs stuff like this off. Like, I remember like really clearly when FBI was on my team, he danced in front of Juves on Tristana when Juves was playing Jarvan and thought he would be able to buffer the EQ and didn't and died. And like I was like, come on, man, what was that? And he was like, I don't know. Like, that's just, it's what makes me special and also what gets me killed every now and again. I think he would take that Nexus Assault in the exact same way. Like, sorry, Windows Monkey, or sorry, Western Way. Like, this is what makes me, your first place AD carry. And sometimes I just do stupid shit on some of this room.
Just got to deal with it. No, I agree. I think that Order would actually, they would take a lot more away from that from Bombers. I will say that the risk there is, and Bombers could have ended the game. They chose not to end the game to go for kills. They paid for it, and that does help Order. If Bombers lost that game, and they didn't, but if they did, that momentum swing would have been monstrous.
I actually think like 3 times they chose to fight. And I'll talk to you about why in a second, because there is some mental warfare that goes into this. But when Order hard engaged top lane, Ryoma was over the wall, 2 inhibitors were down, he had Ryze ult and Banshee's Veil.
Yeah.
I think if when Xayah flashes forward, Karthus ultis, and Sion runs in, if he just ults to the Nexus, he auto attacks it like 4 times, they win that game right there. The next time, they had Tahm Kench ult available, they saw Dream clearing out top lane wave, and they had, Ryze ulti available. I think, you take Tahm Kench ult, catch out Dream instantly, send another 3 people into the base, you probably win the game again. I think Bombers wanted to win a 5v5 team fight and prove to Order that even if Order picks scaling, we're still better team fighters than you. And it kind of bit them in the bum a little bit. What I will say, however, is if it had worked, like, you would call this game a 3-0. If they had have won that team fight and ran over the Nexus and triple inhibited Order in 25 minutes of gameplay, like, I think we're having a really positive conversation about how well this Bombers lineup is going to do at MSI. Whereas right now, I think we're having a very different conversation, just purely off the back end of, Bombers deciding that they wanted to dig their boots in a little bit against this Order lineup.
And just very quickly, as we're wrapping this chat up, it's now Order are coming off the back of their first loss. They had 9 games last for the Gauntlet, only lost 1 of those games. We're going to see how they bounce back from this loss. Rusty, Jake mentioned that they're learning to outscale is probably the best way to take on Bombers. Did they learn anything else from this match?
I mean, other than that, I think they may have learnt through the jungle some differences in how they may want to play the game out. I definitely think that there is a world where Spooks just plays a more aggressive jungler. He has a very deep champion pool, so it's easy to sculpt around that. And like Spawn actually also mentioned, the magic damage and tank combos could also be physical. So I went into that first game, I thought Lee Sin may have been a better jungler of choice. And that may be something we even see in the second game, because they don't change much of their draft, honestly. It's usually one thing.
They could have changed their pick order, right? They took Liss there, they could have taken Urgot. You wouldn't have been double jungle bans, probably would have been double mid lane bans, and you trust Swiffer's champion pool as well. So I think there's a couple of draft things that you take a look at, but maybe not all that much, mentally away from the game now. They look pretty happy.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that Bombers won the game themselves, right? It wasn't that Order massively lost it. In fact, we saw only positives towards the end from Order.
Yeah, and I want to actually harp on that a little bit, because people are going to replay this VOD back and call me Order Spawn a lot. But Bombers played that first 15 minutes, as well as any coach in this league would ask.
Absolutely.
If I was a coach of the Bombers right now, I would just be bringing them back to that first 15 minutes. Mimic got a 1v1 outplay kill. Bottom lane turret dive was great. I think in total, FBI took 8 turret platings. There is very little to pick on in that early game if you are the Bombers coach, and I think that's a fantastic position to be in for game 1 of a best of 5.
I think Bombers showing why they were sitting in the grand final for 2 weeks now, and Order showing why they got there to be able to face off against them. All right, we are about to head into match number 2, but before we do, our first OPL award for the night, Rookie of the Split. And so we had some newbies.
Dramatic role.
We had some, they're not necessarily newbies, they're kind of like semi-oldies who have played a little bit and gone away and come back. Dream. And then we've also had a Gun Crab who played 2 games.
The ineligible rookies that are still rookies.
But the winner, Rookie of the Split, is...
me.
Bokan! I was looking for the drum roll again. It was I padded so long. Bokan!
I just was pounding my legs for so long. I, for one, am shocked. I'm not really, because I voted for him. He's such a good player, incredibly talented. For a guy that had never played competitive and doesn't speak the same language as the rest of the people on his team, what an absolute superstar. He's probably the best jungler in the league right now. And I think that, for a first-year player, that's a big deal.
Exactly, and he did it almost from week 1. That's the thing. He didn't come in and just get acclimatized. He was just good somehow from the very beginning through all of these adversities that he was able to go up against. So, what an incredible player.
The other thing is, champion pool. I love his champion pool.
Good pool.
Eve, Lee Sin, Jarvan, he plays all the cool champions.
He plays
doesn't play crappy stuff like Karthus. He doesn't play crappy things like Urgot. He plays the good champion.
All right, well, congratulations, Bokan, and congratulations to the runner-up, Ayla. We are heading into the McDonald's Champion Select for game number 2. Keep an eye out for that first Elder, Drake, the Baron. You can get your Sivir skin. Let's throw it to the desk.
Thanks very much, Nick Boy. We are ready to get underway for game number 2. But man, what an opener to the series.
Yeah.
Bryce, it looks like it was going to be a clean closeout, but Order really rose to the challenge and made an absolute banger of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The couch said it, right? It is 2 very different conversations. If you stop that game at 20 minutes versus you stop that game at the end of the actual game, right? And I feel like now, this is coming into Order are the lower seed. They're the challengers in the grand final, and they've interestingly opted for the red side.
Yes,
We've seen them over the course of the gauntlet. They were gifted a lot of blue side games, and they did look comfortable, but they opted in for blue side almost every single time. So they're flipping this one up, and I think this does speak to fairly different drafts. I feel like Order no longer has to blind pick for Tally and give Mimic the cannon counter pick and that sort of stuff. Bombers, they're going to find it a little bit harder to blind pick the Tahm Kench, blind pick the Ryze, just by nature of how the draft plays out differently on blue side versus red side. And also, interestingly, that is a Xayah ban. They've actually opted in.
They did opt to ban it away, and also they ban the Ryze that Ryoma piloted last time on the blue side. You see Silas, of course, making the Swippy swap as Order ban it away on red.
Yep.
Wouldn't be too surprised to see the Thresh or the Alistair come out again on the Order side.
I think it's going to be the Thresh. That would be my prediction. I feel like both would make sense. Silas, you expect to be banned away on red side no matter who is on that side. And the Ryze, just a proactive power pick, can be flexed in multiple roles. Kind of just annoying to deal with, so it makes sense the Bombers ban them away from themselves.
All right, a Galio's picked up here by Bombers quickly. Now, we've seen this in the support role much more often lately.
Yes,
so we'll
we have.
See what the answer is.
But it's also not a Bombers pick. For the entirety of the OPL season until the last couple of weeks, Rogue just didn't play the champion. They were much happier playing things like the Braum, like the Tahm Kench into the Galio matchups rather than taking the Galio for themselves. So yes, it can be flexed, but if it does go into the support position, this is something that Rogue is fairly untested territory for him.
Yeah, and for the Order side, it couldn't be less true there as they go for the Enchanter support for Jake. Morgana locked in and Kaisa to pair it out. It's going to be all purple down in that bottom lane.
Feels pretty good. Both of them got shields, and this is another one of those games where maybe he doesn't have a Scion building him a Redemption and a Locket, but he's going to have a lot of protection from his support.
I want to see Tally on something that can do a little bit more damage, to be honest.
Look, he's red side. Last time we saw them on red side, I believe it was the last pick Kale. And that game went very, very one-sided. See if it does slip through the second phase bans or if Bombers do respect it.
All right, here's the J4 Galio combo. Bombers definitely going to be looking for a little bit of a 1-2 punch, and they can still draft for some side lane play, but I wonder if maybe they want to opt into a team fighting composition.
Yeah, I mean, like the Cats talked about it. The early game was incredibly good. If they can get into mid-games with those leads, instead of having to play, like, pick apart the map and play that sort of slower style, rely on Baron to close out the game, that sort of stuff, if you can just hard force, that's a blind Syndra. If you can hard force with a Galio Jarvan, then you're completely okay. If you get the leads, you blow up in the team fight, the game snowballs very quickly, and that could just be the play here from Bombers.
Well, Order have some options, a lot of time to be taken as they decide what their last pickup will be here. I wonder if it's going to be a quick Spooks pickup. Remember, he had 2 jungle bans thrown at him in the second phase last time around.
Yeah. It could be an answer for Swiffer. He doesn't want to lose double picks, or it could just be the Urgot lock-in. Yes, it can be flexed between top and jungle, but expect this one probably to default towards the jungle position. And
yeah, both have played it in the gauntlet, though.
Yep.
So there is a lot of chances here. Let's see what Order ends up electing to ban. There are some 80 carries on the table.
I will say, though, like Urgot into Jarvan, Spooks look very comfortable. Like, Jarvan EQs in, and then Urgot just one-hits him. Jarvan's also that champion that goes into a team fight, and his play pattern is EQ, ulti. I don't care if I die because, like, I get the Galio in and I'm the front line for the team fight. Urgot's like, yeah, man, I just get to eat the tankiest member of your team and then flash onto your backline. 100% give me that. The execute is so useful, so I feel like if I was to make a prediction, Urgot probably in the hands of Spooks, and they will just last pick for Tally in the top matchup.
And they ban out a couple of 80 carries. It's the Vayne, the Callista, a couple of interesting choices there on the Order side to ban up against FBI.
Yeah.
And, it's been all about the mid lane bans on the Bomber side, so definitely focusing on Swiffer. And he's got a few pocket picks. I mean, that Aurelion Sol is still an option.
Yeah, it certainly is. I feel like it could be a rough time into the Syndra, though. LeBlanc would be the expected ban. They removed the list that can weather the storm. They removed the LeBlanc that can gank the Syndra and kind of snowball out of control, the more volatile option. And Ryze Zoe obviously already banned away the Silas from Order, so Swiffer's definitely going to have to dig deep in this matchup here.
Tally talking a bit to his coach, Choo-Choo's, about what they're going to be picking for him up in the top side. So far been hovering on this Vladimir as the timer ticks down.
Well, I think this is actually very smart.
As
they change their mind. Because I was going to say Vladimir, you can flex it between the two, then they don't really know where it's going, and Mimic has to pick for that one. But the Orianna, this is just one of those old school matchups, kind of a 55-45, depending on which player you talk to. And look, Swiffer, Ryoma, these guys have played this exact matchup in so many gauntlet games, in so many semi-finals, like over the course of time. This is tried and true territory for both these players.
No, they absolutely have the experience. Also, they still have the flexibility. We don't know where that Urgot is going until the final pickup.
Yeah.
Bombers in the last second, they'll actually end up locking in the Poppy.
Okay.
So that is, I believe that should be the Mimic choice. I mean,
Yes.
you could Swiffy swap it around and give it to Balkan, but I think that's where it's going.
Out of all of the tanks, Mimic likes Poppy the most. Blind pickable, matchups aren't that bad, but you don't see him on the likes of the Maokai, the Scion. You see him on the Poppy more often than not, and that is the Kog'Maw
We're
that
back.
we saw get banned away in game number 1, and here he rears his Voidy head. The FBI is going to have a game to play.
Oh, yes, indeed. So we'll have to keep an eye on that bot lane once again to see how this one all shakes out. We'll have a big old mobile cannon on the Bomber's side, some protection from the Galio. No Tahm Kench, though, to swallow him up, so there is a chance to isolate him from the pack. Order, last couple seconds ticking down to decide what they will. Switch up in the GP comes through.
Okay.
That'll be the top lane pickup for Tally, and this is Order throwing the gauntlet down at Bombers.
Yeah, this is 2 drafts in a row with that one greedy champion, you know. It's the GP that wants to scale up. It was the Karthus in game number 1, and fine matchup to just sit here. He gets to Q Mimic's head the entirety of the laning phase, but these are 2 very interesting compositions. You take a look at the Bombers, and compared to what they put in game number 1, this is the hard go forward, and you're kind of leaving FBI and the Kog'Maw like alone in the backside.
They're kind of hoping they can melt through the front line of Order, and they won't have to worry about the backline dive. My concern for Order, though, is I look at that lineup, and that feels a bit squishy to me.
Potentially, but if you look at how the champions interact, it's like Bombers, yes, they want to go forward, they want to steamroll. You have to do that over an Orianna ball, you get Shockwave, that hurts. You have to do that over the Gangplank barrels, over the Cannon Barrage, like, those things are very worrisome. So Order, yes, once again, I feel like have the more passive sort of style here, but it certainly works into what Bombers have put together. Rusty kind of raised questions in, do you want to give a team like the Bombers that sort of space, that sort of freedom? It's obviously a choice, and Order are making that active decision, and they've done it. They've done it 2 games in a row. By no means does their comp like not play well into it, but it is an interesting choice nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely true. Well, it looks like we're getting ready to get underway, and so far had a couple of interesting drafts, but this game number 2, Order really unfazed by the loss last time. It could have been a very big blowout, but instead they kept it close and forced Bombers to fight for every inch of that Nexus. Joining us to talk about Order, their run, and their chances still here in the finals, it is Choo Choos once again. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm back.
It seems like we're getting quite a bit of you this the last couple weeks. It's been good, man. Tell me, though, what was your biggest takeaway from game number 1?
These guys are playing Lane Kingdom. We kind of knew that going into this series. Like Bombers, especially with their language barrier, they heavily rely on like their mechanical ability to shut down their opposition. I think we made a mistake going for the Rakan into Tahm Kench, like leaving. We knew that they were looking at something like the Ash or the Kog'Maw or the Varus. So I think we did get caught up too much in drafting, like, hey, let's draft a cohesive composition, easy execution.
The things we've played.
Yeah, the things we've played. The people know what we're going to play, but we're winning on it. And like we were winning on it for 3 other series. Bombers are just that one team that can punish us.
Yeah, okay, that's fairly interesting. And you talk about those 3 other series. I want to ask you, like, does this feel any different, right? Like, we're now in the grand final. The stakes are a little bit higher. You're playing for that MSI spot. But does the team's mentality change going into this game as opposed to the Gauntlet?
Yeah, of course. We didn't have a lot of time to prep for like the next opposition throughout the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
So I really just like I stayed up for like all night, and I would just like research and try and learn like a team's weakness. We had like an entire week for this team.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of time to overthink, overcomplicate things, and yeah, I think we came in very prepared for these guys.
I was going to ask, did it actually feel a little bit weird going back to like a full week's worth of prep compared to just kind of flying by the seat of your pants there, Choo Choos?
For sure. Like, we had a routine of going to the same cafe at the same time, doing the same pre-game ritual, like, over and over and over. And, like, we're still in the same room now, like, in the Riot Games office. So, like, everything is, like, we are very much affiliated to, like, the environment that we are in regards to pre-game rituals. And that's probably an advantage we have over Bombers.
Yeah.
But they've come out exploding. Like, they've come out prepared. So it should be a good series.
Yeah, like you guys have the stage practice, that sort of thing. I want to ask about that sort of pre-game ritual. Like, not specifically what they are, but what does that do for your team? Like, do you think they're very important in kind of standardizing the way you kind of approach a competitive game?
Yeah, like, pre-game rituals... my team is kind of superstitious.
Yeah. So we're going to have to switch it up right now. And, well, maybe the superstition paying off there. However, it's both supports already gone down as FBI is going to be having to walk back under tower. But
yeah, so, like...
superstitious.
Yeah. We are kind of a little superstitious. So, like, Sam was like, I got to do this run. And then I offered him, like, a piece of my fruit. And he's like, no, that's not in my pre-game ritual.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, this team's pretty... like into it. So we've done what we've done in the past, and like we're confident. We're just going to do our best.
Well, fair enough. A little insight into how the team's prepping on for the day. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Choo Choos. Best of luck.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, so we've had First Blood. Supports traded back and forth. It was Ignites that made all the difference there between Rogue and Jake.
He gets taken down, and what we've learned so far is that Morgana certainly has kill threat onto Galio, and that Fruit is 100% the enemy. And
Turns out.
You don't want to eat that pre-game, apparently. But no, it was a multi-step process we saw during the interview. It's the little things in the bottom lane. It's the aftershock that got procced by the first binding that Jake landed, and then they go for the second play. Spooks has that Urgot kind of jungle. Here's the one button, once again. Like, his early game is flash and the dash, and that's kind of all you've got there, and he uses it, gets a kill, comes off the back end, and feeling pretty good.
But look what's happened on the opposite side. Balkan's managed to be able to double his farm in the time, and this is what the Couch was talking about at the start of the day. He is such a power farmer, and he also seems to appear out of nowhere all the time. Balkan just gets things done that other junglers simply cannot do.
Yeah, because Spooks hard commits to the play, doesn't get a Scuttle Crab, and Balkan took his... Oh, once I can... Oh, they actually didn't see each other. Like, ships in the night, just go kind of zooming past.
Spooks is losing a lot of his jungle, though.
There is no vision. Spooks hasn't actually showed on the Wraith ward. Is now going to face check his golems. Balkan will not have the EQ, but does know that the Urgot is there. But this CS lead is looking like a little bit of a roughie here. Tally is a gangplank, so he's going to walk over and do almost nothing completely. He looks at him and is like, yeah, that's not happening. And Balkan still has camps up on his side of the map. Exactly as you were mentioning, like Spooks used everything on the bot play, and the fact of the matter is that he fell so incredibly low, he had to reset. So Balkan gets his raids. He gets his golems on the top side of the map, and is now going to get an Urgot as well.
Yeah, there's the 2 for play right now, and they get the wall bang. Spooks getting the flip over. It doesn't matter. Tally just can't do a damn thing to help out in. Spooks has gone down again.
And the 1-2 punch of the Korean top side of the map of the Bombers has been so effective over the course of the OPL split. And you see why here. Once again, Spooks face checks a bush. It's the flash from Mimic to secure the kill. And yes, this is a comfortable champion. We've seen Spooks on the Urgot over the course of the gauntlet, but this is not a comfortable situation. Jarvan double CS at 5 minutes into the game. Still got his camps available. He's sitting pretty. Hasn't even reset yet. He's still got Machete.
Yeah, 400 gold difference already between the two. Spooks did get the kill down bottom side, so that certainly helps him in terms of being able to equalize on it. We'll check back in with this bottom lane as well, because that's always where we want to be paying attention in this matchup. The old Order bottom lane versus the new Order bottom lane. In the game 1, it was a different lineup, it was a different matchup, and they certainly kept the pressure on with a lot of help from Balkan, but things changed a bit here.
Certainly the case, and I also want to highlight the mid matchup. Ryoma forced a base pretty early from Swiffer, but then he played the mind game. It was like, yes, no, actually, I'm not going to reset. I'm gonna greed out for the wave. Binding does land. Does Spooks go?
He's not going to.
No, he doesn't.
Doesn't take the blast cone over, so they don't know that he's in the area.
But Swiffer stayed back on the map, right, for that extra wave to be able to kind of cheat the tempo. And then unfortunately for him, they're starting his recall on a ward, so Balkan cancels his base. So we're already very early on into this game. This is a reset for both of the mid laners. They've gone in for a double heal matchup, so it's not the most exciting in terms of kill threat.
Ooh, that binding just over the wall. FBI could have been in some serious trouble had he been caught on it. And being able to two-step out on a cog is not the easiest thing in the world. There's a reason that legendary ADC players were known for their ability to get out of sticky situations on that champ.
I also want to talk about his rune choice as well, because you heard Chuchu's in the interview be like, yes, these guys are lane kingdoming. But like, that's our read. These guys win lane because of like the language barrier, because it's the way they like to play the game, and then snowball. You have a few options on the Kog'Maw, right? Like, he's gone for the Hail of Blaze as opposed to something like the Lethal Tempo, where late game you have Lethal Tempo, you break the attack speed cap like monstrously, and you're just vomiting out damage. He goes for the early game, right? Like, you get a single auto attack, and he gets to do this. You pop the W, you get multiple off the back end in quick succession with that range advantage, and he's looking to play Lane Kingdom Kog'Maw. That's a knockoff.
Rogue is comboing through. There's the Black Shield tagging into the J4, and Jake is a dead man. The heal does come up, and there's the Ignite. FBI with the final tennis ball to the back of the head.
And 6 minutes and 50 seconds, Balkan flash ulti level 6 to the Urgot's level 4. Gets the play already, punishes the bottom lane. Double summoners burnt from Dream Heal and Flash in a matchup. Kai'Sa is one of the most blindable champions on the bottom side of the map, but Jake has fallen down twice, unfortunately, and this is rough territory for Order in the early game.
Flip side of the Enchantress supports can be a bit squishy. Bomber's already starting to build up those gold advantages. Not as much as they had last time, but that was a really early start to the game. Still, though, a 2,000 just about gold advantage as we don't even get to the 8-minute mark. Balkan is everywhere on this map as well, really setting up the Bombers' early game.
He certainly is. And you mentioned the Enchanters, right? They, more often than not, you pick them into tanks and you do like the air quotes, quote-unquote, win lane. Because they get to push, they have the range advantage, they kind of get to poke you out. But as soon as there's kills traded,
Speaking of kill trades,
like Rogue gets a kill back, Jake dies twice. Once you fall behind, you don't have the luxury of being able to play up enough to use your poke to constantly leverage those sort of things. So
Tally's zoned out of his own farm.
Yeah, as you mentioned, he's fallen behind, and on the top side, Mimic did have the TP back, so he's got a Sheen, he's gone for the base, has the boots as well. Tally's just going to cop it right now and won't lose the most amount of CS, but
still feels bad, man.
A chunk.
Delaying what he can on the Gangplank. Still, that Sheen, that's just the start here. Gangplank will be nasty in the late game, but remember last time it was a massive gold lead at 25 minutes in favor of Bombers, so not keen to give it to him. Dark Binding doesn't connect this time.
I mean, we've said the word superstitious, and this is superstitiously following the same game plan as we saw in game number 1. It's the early game lead for Bombers, and the team fights certainly could be the case for Order.
FBI picks up the level 2 boots already, and Berserker's Greaves for a lot of those extra damage shots, and he's got the Living Artillery as well now.
Because it's multi-threat, right? It's the move speed to be able to play around and dodge the Morgana bindings. Like, they are a skill shot bottom lane where the Kai'Sa throws out the W, the Morgana throws out the Q, but then also with the Hail of Blade, you kind of just want the attack speed, you want that movability to be able to play with your range advantage, so I like to pick up here for FBI.
Yeah, instead of a giant, cannon you have to wheel around, it's a little bit more of a pea shooter that can just walk all over the place and constantly pelt your health bar down. Mimic up top does have a health bar and a level advantage onto Tally. Ooh, Swiffer walking away.
Volkan knew where the pinks were. And this is something that Bombers actually do incredibly well. He sees the one top side that he's about to clear right now, but they kind of just knew based on where Swiffer had walked with his pink ward, and then you don't see it in the inventory. It's these little things that they know where the vision is, and he's sitting in that banana bush waiting. They look for the stun onto Swiffer, it does not land, so Volkan just shows and they clear out the vision anyway, but that was a premeditated gank, and you can see the little things that this sort of team does that bolsters up their strong laning phase. They have the vision to be able to play Lane Kingdom, to be able to hit the turret at 10 minutes into the game and play like this and
take even more plates off.
Those
Looks like
things
they're
really
getting
do
close
add
to
up.
another. Well, you can see those Spooks is here. There's the binding. However, they've already sent the Galio back. FBI taking a lot of damage, and they're going to get some help from downtown. Cannon Barrage, though, is walked through by FBI, and Rogue Dream is still sticking on top of him. But he takes almost as much damage as he dishes.
And they blow everything. Urgot ulti, Gangplank ulti. The binding was very nicely buffered out of Rogue there, and they just can't get onto the Cogmore. He's standing behind the biggest Galio in the world, and Ryoma may just be looking for more of Swiffer here. Doesn't have ulti.
He's playing a dangerous game, and you just see Bombers time and again. Doesn't matter which lane they're in. Under towers, and Balkan finds Dream out in the middle of nowhere.
Just cleans him up. Very easy. Has the Warrior, 2 kills to boot. And
suspiciously like last game, you are absolutely correct, Bryce.
Jake is somewhat playing with fire here, but Morgana has the luxury of a Black Shield, so the stun from Ryoma isn't really the biggest of threats, and we're just going to see this
greedy
one.
back.
That's a recall. His team's in the river. It's not the worst thing in the world. You're sitting there like, yeah, like we have priority. My boys are up here. They can back me up, but if he was just standing in the bush, then Balkan would not have been able to see him, and unfortunately...
attracting all the attention, though, man. All those pop star lights and everything. Of course they were going to jump on him. It's Balkan.
It's a bright river down there.
Yeah. Lit it up. So, 4-1 in favor of Bombers here in game number 2 of the Grand Finals. Got themselves a 3,000 gold advantage, and, you know, they're pretty much winning every lane.
Yep.
However, Order, they have shown an incredible ability to come back, stay strong, stay resolute, but they haven't faced a team like Bombers in the Gauntlet.
Certainly the case, and Rogue actually tracks out of base towards top side. And if we can pan the camera up to the top dot bush, just to the left, Mr. Observer, he goes up there and he places a ward into the river to defend the weak side of the map. This, to me, you look at the map setup and Balkan just looks for a reset. They want to make a play onto the bottom lane. There's 2 turrets left on the turret. Mimic's actually just literally looking for a solo kill. Tally.
Tally, here's a Poppycopter up, flashes, and Spooks actually gets the denial. Shotguns, though, that means the flash from Mimic. Let's see if he can stay strong with a steadfast presence. Still walking away. Spooks misses the ultimate. And now Poppy's on the run.
And the Orianna can't walk because Ryoma has priority. I had absolutely no idea that is how the interaction works between Urgot E and the Poppycopter. But
he just completely eats it.
Spooks just straight up buffers it. Unfortunately, cannot land the ulti to secure the kill. And
look what happens down bot in the meantime. Bombers can finish off this tower. This is before turret plates have fallen.
Yeah.
They get everything. So once again, the Bombers bot lane decimating that of Order.
And the problem with this was that it was against the flow of the game. Order were looking for a top side of the map. They were looking for the play up there. And Mimic wins at 1v2 and gets out with his life. That's the reason why FBI on the bottom side gets to punish. Like, they didn't even send members down there, and he just gets to free hit the turret because Order look for the play, it doesn't work, and they have all that freedom. It's things working against the flow of the game that punish you incredibly hard in League of Legends. And now we're 13 minutes in. The gold lead is 4,000. The Rift Herald is picked up. They've already got a drag, and this is, once again, another one of those perfect early games from the Bombers, and they're looking good.
It is. You know, if it's not as big as the last time's gold lead, well, you know, they haven't had as many kills, they haven't had as many opportunities, but they're still taking everything that's been thrown their way, and Order just falling further and further behind in this one. Next Dragon will be in prime position for them to take as well. They do have to sweep some wards out of that river, and it is another Ocean Drake, so less of the explosive team fight worthy ones.
Yeah. Right, looks in game number 1 and is like, maybe you don't need an Infernal and Double Mountain.
Let's balance things a little bit.
They did get it very early. Balkan, I feel like very early on in the split, was the kind of guy that was soloing out objectives a ton. And he's actually just literally walking up to top turret. May just pop the Rift Herald here and look to break this one. 13 minutes and 40 seconds.
They may not need it at this
point. They have 15
15
seconds before plating wears off, and they're going to look to take as many as they can.
All right, well, that's going to be 2 plates already picked up. Looking for a third right now with Dream and Jake just trying desperately to stop them, but they won't be able to do it. Clear away. Dark Binding does land onto the Jarvan, but he flags and drags. Doesn't matter if you're rooted in that case. Here comes Spooks and Jake looking for FBI. The damage onto the Kog'Maw, but he's going to be flashing away. Jake going golden for just a second as the Cannon Barrage comes through looking for Rogue. Spooks is there. Balkan tags over, and he gets the kill off onto Jake. Might pay for it with his life. Dream trying to walk away, but the Hero's Entrance comes through, and they will take down Spooks. Bombers get everything!
And in a straight 3v3, they get the outplay. Rift Herald is still here to boot, and Balkan may just pop that one top. He has all the options in the world. He can walk towards mid lane. Swiffer is already low HP, low mana, walking off the turret, and Bombers, they're just completely taking everything. He's going to pop that one. We'll ram that into the mid lane turret, and this is the map completely broken open.
Yeah, they got one tower looking to push on even more, and Bombers' Lane Kingdom is absolutely the case here.
Yep.
And it is a high tax to pay for the Order players. The Poppycopter wind up. Not going to need it as Tally backs off.
Yep.
This is tough for Order.
Cooldown.
This is very tough for Order at the moment.
And we're going to see this one again. EQ out of the binding is nice there from Balkan, but Dream just sees an opportunity, and Jake is like, yes, like we have to go. GP ulti comes down very quick, but the flash from FBI gets him out of the play, and Rogue still has stopwatch, so effectively baiting Dream further and further into the play to be able to turn this one around, and the re-engage is there. FBI is no longer the target, so he gets to free hit. Now he's a QSS Bork Cogmore at 15 minutes. He's so safe and dishes out so much damage. This is absolutely online for the Bombers.
Yeah, you had to queue up some MC Hammer because they can't touch him, absolutely. FBI looking so good in this game. 15.5 minutes on the clock, 6-1. The gold lead once more spiraling out of control. It's upwards of 6,000 now if you are Bombers, and they have just absolutely run roughshod over all the lanes of Order.
Yeah, and once again, it's towards the bottom side of the map. Look at the gold lead in the hands of FBI. That is 3,000. He has an entire Jake in his back pocket. Jake's entire wallet is like the extra bonus on top of FBI. That is, that's a roughie. That's really a roughie and a half.
All right, so the second Dragon falls. Balkan solos it out once again, as you were talking about. He's definitely one of those junglers that's able to do it. The next one that'll be spawning is an air. So maybe not the ones Bombers are hoping for, but they still have the opportunity. Mimic now looking to chase in on to Tally. The steadfast presence there. Spooks is looking to wrap around the side. This is a chance for Order to get something, but Tally's bleeding out. Poppycopter
misses.
That's going to be the miss on the presence here, but he tags forward looking for damage, and he flips him in and chews him back up. Finally, Spooks plays and gets that kill.
Eventually, they're able to take him down. Doesn't have the flash to get himself to safety, so as soon as Poppycopter goes wide, that's a very easy cleanup here.
Can you say Poppycopter?
Yeah, Poppycopter.
Yeah.
It's a helicopter, but it's a poppy.
No, I know. Can you say Coppa Poppycopter? It's hard, isn't it?
A Coppa Poppycopter?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It just sounded funny.
Isn't it like a little lollipop, or it's the reindeer
Well, it's
skin,
right
so
now.
It's
like a giant bell on a stick, basically.
Oh, so I was thinking it was a candy cane.
Nah, no, that's Lollipoppy.
Yeah.
Remember the old flash for that?
That's a lollipop, not a candy cane. Candy cane are the Christmas thing.
It's all sugar sticks, man.
Yeah, they're delicious.
They are delicious, but not if it's Poppy throwing it at you.
But it's Easter, terrifying. So no candy canes to be seen. Just a Wraith camp that's being fought over, as Spooks is going to smite that one away.
Yeah, Order just trying to fight for any smidgen of control they can over their own jungle. Swiffer going to get jumped on by Balkan, and they've got the combo in. Oh, he's bleeding down from red buff. However, look at that damage. Shockwave does pull Balkan back in, and that's a shutdown that Swiffer needed. Gold in his pocket. They will pay for it with the red buff, though.
Yeah, maybe seeing the remnants of game number one, the slight overextension, looking to get onto Swiffer. He does have the flash. Shockwave comes through, and that's a shutdown. That's an extra 300 gold on top of the kill that goes into Order's back pocket, and Bombers, cheeky little death here and there, can run amok.
And one thing we do have to keep in mind, though, is Order. They've definitely got some pretty scary scaling of their own. You look at the Orianna, you look at the GP. You know, they will get stronger over time.
Eventually, and it is one of those cases, right, where this gold lead is 6,000. Like, approaching that 20-minute mark, Bombers have put themselves in one of those situations again, where, like, this could just be a free Baron. They set up, they have all the control in the world. Mimic has looked completely fine in the side lane. As the matchup progresses, Tally will do better and better. And he did just die a little bit ago, so it will kind of get worse and worse. But he's got a Jarvan, right? Like, Jarvan has the time to be able to bolster his lane, to push it out and then walk towards the Baron and look to set up these plays. This is something that Bombers can do. Spooks is down here, though. He's spotted by a ward.
So is Balkan. He's in the area. He's going to be able to clear away the rest of his Krug camp, and Tally won't be playing too unsafe, but it might be in for a 2v2.
Yeah. Certainly could be the case. You look at the matchups and you kind of see a Galio and think maybe they could cheat the tempo, but no entrance is available here for Rogue. Half on the cooldown is there, and Balkan doesn't show.
This is the thing. Bombers have pushed quite a lot here, and now their momentum is arrested a little bit by the fact that they're just not able to push deeper into territory before the Baron is going to become available. So there's a little bit of a slowdown, and it'll be interesting to see how Order can utilize that time.
Swiffer is the mid laner in one of those uncomfortable situations where you're on red side of the map and you have to catch top wave. So the Urgot just eats the blue buff, and that doesn't feel good for anyone, realistically. Ryoma gets his hands on his own and is able to just kind of continue pushing this in. Bombers have lulled the game out because of the Baron spawn. It's been about 3 minutes since the last fight, and they've just been kind of waiting for the objective. They want to make a play where they get to set up the vision, they can force Order into a choke point, and then they can look for the engage. Like, they have the Jarvan, they have the Galio, they've been looking for these things time and time again, and the time is creeping up where those opportunities are going to arise.
Got of the week there onto Spooks. Man, they just keep getting the combos on. Anybody tanking any CC at all is going to get heavily punished by FBI on this build. That Dogma just firing the tennis balls.
Yeah, he's gone for the Pugmore.
Yeah.
He's gone for the Chroma
There's
as well.
There's several different dog varieties, it turns out.
Yeah, what's this one?
That one is a Beagle.
Is it?
I believe so. That's a Bailey Kog'Maw.
I
could be wrong about that, but it looks like a Beagle to me.
But I don't know enough to
Maybe
call
it's
you
a
out.
Terrier.
That's
That's a lot of damage, and Jake gets blown up. Balkan gets the kill credit, but that was all Ryoma, and that means it's mid-tower.
Yeah.
Man, one mistake. That's all it takes.
As soon as you fall behind on the Enchanter, that is literally it. He does not spell shield the stun, and he just insta-drops. Doesn't have access to the stopwatch anymore. He's going for a squishy build for the Kai'Sa, has the Ardent, so no HP to boot. 0-4 on the Morgana is having an incredibly rough game, and that's a very easy pick. That's another turret in the hands of Bombers, and this gold lead is just extending further and further.
Yeah, you got to wonder if maybe it wouldn't be better to put Jake back on a tank support. I know he loves these enchanters, and the Rakan has certainly been valuable when they've been able to get their hands on the Xayah, but you got to think if this game continues the way that it looks right now, game number 3, we might have to see some different drafting out of Order.
I mean, potentially, but it's come to, like, it's not down to the draft in my eyes. Like, the matchup was good. They killed Rogue at level 2 with the Morgana, right? Like, it's a setup from the draft where they have that advantage and they utilize it very early, and unfortunately, like, it costs Spooks dearly because he falls too low and loses his entire jungle. I don't think it's down to the fact that Jake needs to be put back on the Alistar, back on the Galio, stuff like that, but
3-man gank
an
up top
ambitious
side.
play.
Ryoma is going to see the ball and just watch it shockwave nothing.
The sound effect for the ball really told the whole story there.
And they even landed.
Where it just kind of, like, sadly goes, wow, over the wall, and Order are like, okay, time's up, that's it, the Dragon's going to go down, and they just back away.
Yeah.
Ryoma's playing a 1v3 right
What?
here.
Flash? Oh! Wow! Outplayed.
Did they have the slow? They landed the Galio.
And Tally is going to be a dead man right now. Trying to walk away, trying to walk back into Mimic, but the flag, the drag, the tag, and goodbye.
Yeah, across all portions of the map right now. Tally goes down. He does have to flash and TP, and is a Gangplank with his ulti up. So if Bombers look to force around the Baron, in 30 seconds, he will be a useful champion once again. But unfortunately for Order, it's no Urgot ulti. It's no Shockwave from Swiffer. Those tools are down, and they don't have a lot of ability to contest right now. Spooks is potentially looking for a flank onto the mid lane, but
Bot Tower's already saying Spooks is looking for Ryoma once again. Last time they both
Sees
burned
him.
Flash to get it. Trying to get into him, and he does get that smite off, but he's scattered back and away. Redemption comes through, and he's actually getting outplayed on the Unleashed power on top Ryoma. That's a lot of damage. Flashing in his Rogue to save the day.
And he just barely leaves off the back end.
But they found
Binding
FBI.
is good QSS.
And Jay comes forward again. They look for the damage. Dream is there looking for FBI, trying to get the kill, but he's getting output on the damage. Flashing forward. Big shutdown for Dream, but he will pay for it with his life. That's a double kill given over to Ryoma.
Yeah, but is it enough? The pick onto FBI. Balkan once more, and Mimic's on the flank. Swiffer has Flash.
Wallbang back into it, onto the red pit. Shockwave this time lands onto 2, but that's the last of his mana bar.
Gets
and
him.
Balkan dunks on top of him. That will be the end of Swiffer.
And a huge force gets them the shutdown. Dream gets a nice bunch of gold, but FBI being the only member dead. Bombers, they can look at the Baron. They don't have a pink ward in the pit right now, but Tally's the only one here for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, they're a little bit low, but it doesn't really matter too much right now. Tally has no ultimate. As you said, trying to challenge it would be difficult. Spooks not even going to be making a run for it. This is the back away, though. Bombers don't have enough left in the tank to take it this early.
FBI is realistically their main source of consistent damage. Syndra just going to chew through our mana, throwing balls at the Barons, so they do take the safer route and back away. They just got a whole bunch of kills, so they had a bunch of gold to spend. 9,000 gold now is the lead, and like this game has progressed fairly quickly. And I feel like in the context of the last 2 games, you're looking at this like, yeah, this lead sort of makes sense. But you take a broader scope, a 9,000 gold lead at 23 minutes into the game is disgusting.
It is pretty massive. Bombers
that is huge.
Have absolutely rolled it up. And now the only thing that could be worse here for Order is if the Dragons had gone the way of game 1. But instead, still, it looks pretty impressive. You especially look at those carry numbers right now, and there's a lot in the pocket of FBI that Dream does not have.
Tally and Swiffer are realistically the 2 members on Order that are like keeping up, that have relative parity. Swift is 1k gold down, and Tally isn't a klepto GP, has gone for the grass because of a difficult matchup and hasn't graded out so far, so you don't have that extra buffer of free gold that a GP normally could have, but the rest of the map is significantly far behind. Volcan has snowballed out this jungle lead very impressively, honestly, is 6-1, gave that singular shutdown over, as did FBI. So there are numbers they're giving back, but the gold leads in their back pocket are still absolutely monstrous, and this Baron, it's not a double mountain, but it does get one shot by the Kog'Maw.
It's so impressive to see how Bombers have been able to really handle this Order lineup, because you just look at the Gauntlet. I mean, a week ago, we wouldn't have expected Order to be here, but they just showed a masterclass in not only being able to fight from behind, but also to be able to just, like, play fast League of Legends. Play standard, but very fast League of Legends, and Bombers have just taken it to them. This time around, they have, you know, more of a fighting composition rather than dragging around, as Jake is forced out, dunked on by Balkan. We have seen this movie before, and that will be the go button to start the Baron off.
And unfortunately, that's the life of a support when you are this far behind. Somebody has to face check in.
Here's Spooks. They've got the Cannon Barrage. Shockwave Balkan forced into the Guardian Angel right now, and that's going to be the turn from Bombers. They're actually going to back off. Baron still aggroed. It's going to be Volcan flagged and dragged away, but Mimic is going to get the knockaway of Spooks. They'll keep the Baron aggroed.
2K,
as he flashes back into it, he should be able to take this one down, but they're a little low on those health bars. How well can Order actually take this fight to follow through? Looking for Rogue. The damage is onto him, and he will sacrifice himself to the Urgot.
And they're just looking for the shutdowns. Volcan is going to channel his recall. He cancels. Dream face checking.
And
Mimic's now
the
here.
damage onto him. That electrocute's pretty hefty here as he gets a bit of a shield trying to run it out, but
Mimic
and Volcan at his back.
Oh,
and he just drops the swag flag.
Barrel isn't going to connect on the back end. No slow for Spooks to be able to play with. Syndra is still here looking for Tally.
Power unleashed here that Mimic and Balkan look to rejoin Ryoma, but they do catch him back, and that's turnabout fair play looking for Spooks here. Still damage on, Steadfast pressing shotgun knees. Jakes is back in this fight already. Balkan looks to go down here, and they will be able to take down Mimic as well, but not before Swiffer falls. What an absolute carnage around the Baron pit.
Yeah, the never-ending Baron fight. Or to clean up a bunch of the buffs. So now Mimic doesn't have the Baron buff in the side lane, and Balkan loses his as well. The rest of the map does have it available, so they do have FBIs, they do have Ryomas, they hold on to some. Order were able to get some advantages, but that was such a weird Baron.
Yeah, I think it was really critical, though, that Mimic does manage to find his mark on the Keeper's Verdict, just getting Spooks out of that fight and not letting the Smite contest happen.
And they hold the aggro. Balkan was out of the pit, but Syndra is still throwing orbs. The Kog'Maw is still auto-attacking despite not having a tank, and it was the flash back in from Balkan to secure it, so everybody on this team is really on the same page. They have the one goal. It is the call to finish. Mimic gets the knockback, the rest of the team hold the aggro, and they clean up the Baron buff. Sure, they do lose a few kills on the back end, but gold lead is still fairly large. They have the Baron buff, and they're still looking to force the base.
So if you're Order right now, what have you got to be thinking to try and get back into this one? It feels a little bit like it did last game, but the win conditions for Bombers are different.
And the win conditions for Order are certainly different. Like, they have a Morgana to keep the Kai'Sa alive, but in terms of straight damage output, he's just not dealing as much as FBI. Like, you don't have the shields to keep your AD carry up, and you kind of want Bombers to be walking over your buttons. Yes, the base sort of lends, like the choke points at every inhib lends itself to that a little bit, but if you're fighting in those points, if Bombers can get a flank off, if Mimic can come from the side, if Volcan gets the one hit, all of these sort of things make that game plan very difficult, and Order, they do have their back up against the wall, and that's really not where you want to be when the fights you want to take are slowly backing away.
Bombers, they got to be feeling pretty good about how things are going. Last game, you know, the end of it might have given them a little bit of pause because it really required that extra mile to really put it away, but right now they're knocking on the doors to victory in game number 2, looking to put it to match point.
Spooks is looking for a flank, as was Dream, and now he's actually going on the red buff. Volcan wants it. He knows exactly where he is, and he has found the Urgot.
All right, Urgot did take the red buff, though. He's just going to flash away. Oh, boy. Balkan's still tracking him here. Doesn't follow all the way through, so that's an expensive red buff for Spooks.
Very expensive. Thought he could just kind of get away with it, that Bombers would not be looking at the red buff, but unfortunately, Balkan checks, and flash is not the price you want to pay for this one. You can see how Bombers are kind of spreading out over the ball. There we go.
Damage from the backline, and Mimic comes tagging his way in for Swiffer. Here we go. The Poppycopter knocking the Spooks away. And it looks like they're just going to be going for the kills, going for the fight. They've got the stun of onto Tally. Heats an orange. I don't know if it's going to be K, though. Down goes Spooks. and they've only taken Mimic out of this fight. The rest of Bombers looking to close up.
And such a clutch engage from Mimic. He slams Swift into the turret, and unlike game number 1, this could be the end first try.
The 29 minutes on the clock. Tally and Jake look to defend here, but it looks like it's going to be all on the Nexus turrets. One's already taken out of this one. There's the dunk on into the back of the pit, looking for Jake. The damage is there. He's going to get taken out. It's going to be only Tally for a few more seconds, and I think they've got it this time, Bryce. Bombers with the ace onto the base.
And they're just going to be able to close this one out. Nexus will fall, but this was a much cleaner game. Much like game number 1, the early game tracks in their favor. They look towards the bottom side of the map. They snowball it out well, and as I said, it wasn't 3 times a charm, and you have to backdoor the Nexus.
You have to be feeling a lot better about that win.
That was singular Baron. They get into the base, Mimic finds the engage, and they end immediately. In terms of confidence levels, yes, they have the 2-0, but coming out of game 1 did look a bit shaky. Completely opposite now after game number 2.
No, things have definitely turned in favor. The Bombers finding themselves up 2-0 now in a very clean closeout. Shy of 30 minutes. I mean, this is clockwork Bombers. They went away for a week. We were wondering maybe what would they look like on this patch if anything was different, but they're completely unflappable. This team is so good. I mean, you look at how what Order's run was, and Bombers in this second game just threw them aside.
Yeah, seem unfazed. And it's also different fashions in both of the games. It was a fairly defensive, like the discipline, the side lane play. We'll pick on side lanes with the Tom Kench. There's similar trends here with the Galio. He can do similar things. It's not quite as free. You don't have as much openness as a Tom Kench does, but that was really all about like Balkan getting that advantage and forcing the team fight. Forcing the fights onto Order, which is what we've seen the rest of the Gauntlet games be. And they've all gone Order's way. Now their backs against the wall. 2-0 up are the Bombers, and they fought Order in Order's style and beat them. This is a huge
big statement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive right there. The fact that you can play up against Order style, which they've looked so darn good at in the past week especially, and in the lead up to the Gauntlet, and just say, hey, you know, we're going to be able to take it to you. Even on some of the comfort picks that Order had already established for themselves. The Urgot coming in, and it
the
honestly,
Morgana.
Spooks had a hard time. Balkan on this Jarvan is everywhere.
Yeah, it's like 2 games in a row where he's been very impactful early and been able to snowball that lead, right? They've given over Order champions, the Zyra Khan, they give them the Morgana, they give them the Urgot. They're not worried about like the individual pieces. They are just getting like comfort for themselves. It's Tommy on the Ryoma, it's Mimic on the Poppy. That is the one tank that he actually has played over the course of his domestic career in the OPL, and he just looks good. That last team fight, that engage from him was super clutch, and if that Mimic is going to show up, like it's a rough time for Order.
Well, 2 games down, and it looks like a double quarter pounder already ordered up by the Bombers. We'll take a quick Macca's break before we send it off to the couch.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast, so we're getting rid of them. Now you can enjoy dinner or breakfast whenever you want it. McDonald's all-day menu, available 24/7.
I'm a big fan of McDonald's. I'm not a big fan of that throw. That one, I was lost on that one. I got to be honest there.
We have standards in this region. I know people don't think we do, but we have standards.
I'm fairly certain I'm the only one on this whole broadcast that is allowed to screw up their throws. I think that's written into my contract.
I think we haven't seen you do them too successfully yet, so the consistency is important with you though now, Nick. We've got to keep it on brand.
It's part of my charm. Speaking of charm, Bombers, very charming. Much more of a decisive win there.
Yeah, I feel like this is what would have happened game 1 if they hit the damn Nexus, right? No, but like pretty much is very similar style. Like, so I mean, let's start at the beginning, as all good games do start.
Please.
You know, at 1 minute.
It would be
so
weird to know
Spooks does
otherwise.
red buff straight to bottom gank. No one expects that timing.
No,
like,
not from an
Not
Urgot.
on Urgot. So he's able to pick up a first blood. Credit to the Bombers though, they trade, and then Balkan trades up. I said this, when this guy power farms, he power farms. Do you know what path we saw? So buff, camp, scuttle. Every single thing in Spooks' jungle. All of it. All of Spooks' jungle. I mean, we just announced him as Rookie of the Split. Like, absolutely hard carries that game. I think Bryce hit it on the head, like 5 minute 45. Jarvan ultimate in the bottom lane or something like that. You don't expect that. Like, mid lane had just ticked over. And you're already getting Jarvan ulted?
Yeah.
That's a terrible time. Get me off Summoner's Rift.
And that's the thing, right? Like, Order make the proactive play. It actually looks pretty good. And, you know, credit to somehow FBI and Rogue pull out these miracles. They're just good enough players to do that here and there. But the fact that everything was taken and somehow by some miracle, Spooks doesn't spot Balkan, places
That
vision
ship's in
trying
the
to
night
find
moment,
him.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
barely misses him. Extra farm goes over and then dies top lane as well. So not only is bottom traded, jungle gets an advantage, top lane gets something for it as well, and Balkan picks up the kill. So that bot lane gank, like, massive.
Can we talk about that kill in top river quickly? if you're a jungler at home,
yeah,
I want you to go back. I want you to look at the time that Spooks dies after helping Tally shove out his wave. I would say 7 out of 8 junglers in the OPL would do this, and the exception is probably Balkan at the moment. Exit through the lane. You can't exit to river. You don't have mid lane priority. You definitely don't have top lane priority because you just had to help your top laner shove the damn wave out. Like if you walk into river, what are you going to do? Fight 3 of them? We saw that didn't work. He just dies. So exit back through your lane. Spooks, one of the cardinal sins of jungling. You hate to see it.
Yeah, and this is actually this carries through a little bit more for me than just that moment because this actually felt like...
that put him on tilt.
Like, capitulation just gone.
Yeah.
Spooks was just gone from that moment. And, like, you asked, 5 minutes, what's, big about this game? And my answer was death by jungle. Yeah. That's legitimately what it was. Balkan got a lead, does not relent when he has the lead. But Spooks also seems to have... I don't know if it was nerves or if it was tilt, but there was something that was off in this game because he was missing Urgot ults he should hit. He was throwing them at people he shouldn't be throwing them at when he should be holding them. This wasn't the Spooks we saw even in the first game, and definitely not for the whole gauntlet.
And I think the big thing here is you have to take into consideration probably the pressure on Spooks and Swiffer in particular, because this is one of the last cracks they're going to get at it. They're both 25-year-olds. They've won 4 OPL titles themselves. They won Autumn before OPL was a thing. This is a duo that has been around, I think, longer than any duo in the history of League of Legends now. And this would mean so much to them to have another crack at the OPL title. So whilst everyone else on Order is looking at it, their free shot, Jake across from Avant and Dream freshly into the league, these 2 guys are probably the 2 that are feeling it the most and would want to turn around in Game 3, I think is a very fair statement.
And it is easy to get in your own head in a situation like that. In the meantime, Tommy just gets to sit in mid lane and just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, he had everything, including even when he goes to a side lane, he's on his blue buff side of the map, you know? So, Swiffer, who was playing perfectly fine, just never had priority, and there was nothing he could do. Wasn't even getting blue buffs to get that priority that were going to Spooks. So, denied everything possible. And, credit to Bombers in retrospect here. They played every aspect of the map well with the leads that they had, including lane assignments, which is something you never really speak about too much in League of Legends besides the overarching strategy. But they were at every position at the correct point.
Yeah, and I think the things that I'm impressed by for Bombers are the things that I'm normally impressed by, but they're just doing it a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing is Balkan walks into mid lane, spots 2 control wards.
Yep.
Waves at neutral. Doesn't hit either of them. Waves into Ryoma, makes the wave hit the turret, and then he goes in. Because at that point, he knows at best it is a 1v1 between him and the jungle. He has EQ up and available. He can just scoot out of there. Little things like that. You don't get to praise a team for doing, but no one else waits that 5 or 10 seconds for the wave to hit the turret. But he does it because it keeps him safe 10 out of 10 times. There's 0% chance that he's going to die there.
Right?
It's all the 1%ers. Top lane, he walks up, he drops flag for Kog'Maw so he can start taking turret. He knows that the only play at that stage of the game is on the Kog'Maw. Poppy too tanky, as we said, mid lane priority, 100% in Ryoma's favor. Just go stand on top of the Kog, the only champion that Order can kill at that time, turns the 3v3 in their favor, even through a Gangplank ultimate. They just they are reading the play so incredibly well. And on top of that, I mean, I keep saying it, but they just seem to get that extra, 5-10% out of their champions at the moment because they are playing well. So the things that, they read the play, Order read the play a little bit worse, then they play the play a little bit better, Order play the play a little bit worse. All of a sudden, in League of Legends terms, that's a 3-for-1 team fight or a 4-for-1 team fight, and you make the team look bad because gold, when you're ahead in this game, is so crucial, and time again, they just have the early leads.
Yeah. Absolutely. Order are going to have to improve to head into the next match. And speaking of improving, a lot of players and teams have done it this split. Our next OPL award, the Tim Carbon Wendell Most Improved Award.
Do you know why it's called that?
Because he was very good.
No, because he won it back-to-back years. So he was the most improved player, and then the next year comes around, and then he won most improved again.
So how low do you have to start for that to happen?
You're going to have to ask Tim that over.
He's just roller coaster, man.
Yeah, he's the most improved, that's all I'm saying.
Is he still improving? I hope so. The winner of the most improved award, there are a lot of options.
There were.
Yeah.
The winner went to Praedyth. Congratulations to Praedyth. Most improved, I mean, according to Praedyth, greatest in the world.
Potentially. He said rank 1.
Rank 1, by the way.
He's a really good player.
Yeah.
Especially given the fact that he role swapped this split, played on a new team where I think expectations were very low. Yeah, Predator had a really good season.
And he has a winner's attitude as well, you know? Like, he wasn't someone that came in and said, we'll try and get 5th, maybe scrape into playoffs. Yeah. He just said, I'm going to be the best, you know? Like, and he's confident in himself, and I think that's a really big part of his improvement personally that he can take away.
And look, I'm not going to use the word robbed for the runners-up.
No.
Because that would be strong language.
Please.
However, Shock was robbed.
Shock
went from a winless lineup to 3rd place with, like, literally just rookies and, like, a mishmash players and was the best player.
I love Praedyth. I voted for Shock.
I love Praedyth as well. He's a very good AD carry. I voted for Shock.
I think the other one was Dream, but I got rid of him once I realized it was 1 to 10. And he was definitely in there if we included him.
Maybe you had a little bit of foresight.
Maybe. I didn't.
Most improved player. Also, most improved team. And I don't know if this is a massive surprise to anyone, but the winner is Legacy. And I feel like well-deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a rant at the start of the season where I kind of went through like what every one of these players had done. And then Wingardium, like, absolutely roasted me in. Like, props. Like, one of the things that comes with the job, like, people think that, like, I sit here and get some kind of sick enjoyment out of flaming people. Like, I want to see people play good League of Legends. And by the end of the season, this team was playing really, really good League of Legends. Like, I'm a fan of the Legacy lineup.
Yeah, can I just say all the critique comes from a place of love from here as well. We don't actually mean to offend anybody. We just try and say
there's a couple of people I like to offend. Mainly Bryce.
It's intentional, though.
Also true.
Look at that.
Congratulations to Legacy. And the runner-up, I mean, while we're throwing flame, Gravitas. So there you go.
I think it's pronounced Gravitas. I think you would find that.
I believe it's pronounced Gravy Boys.
Yeah.
Groovy toes.
Groovy toes. Well,
sorry, we've been getting it wrong all year. I know that Bryce gets upset.
There's only one way to find out, and it is by throwing to the runner-up of the most improved at the desk. It is Ejim.
Look, the thing is, I can't return it because Jake's just currently 0-2. But look, we'll move on from that. It's fine.
Grand final, by the way.
This is unnecessary. Bombers, order.
Yes, it's good. It's a 0-2 start, though, for Order. Now, we'll see if they can pick it back up. That game 1 was very close. It gave me some hope that I think Order can definitely take it to Bombers in like a straight-up fight situation, even when there aren't like specific team fight comps being drafted by Bombers.
Yeah.
But then they just played Order's game and played it better in game 2. So really throws a wrench in the works.
Like, if you look at the game, like, big picture, look at, like, tracking into the Gauntlet. We've now spoken to both coaches, and the momentum was there for Order. Like, their tracking choo-choos is like, yeah, I didn't have a lot of time. I was staying up all night in between all the Gauntlet games, but, like it was working. Things were happening. Swiffer in an interview pre-game was saying, like, in the Chiefs series, we were making decisions that we never would have made before we were in that Chiefs series. Like, the momentum is all there, and now a week after it, this does look like a completely different Order. Bombers have just been sitting back. They've been looking. Rogue was saying, like, yeah, this is the first time I've ever felt like this. He's never finished first place in a regular season. He's been the one to have to run the gauntlet. And they've come in and just squashed everything. They've played 2 different styles, 2 completely dominant early games, and yes, they did falter in game number 1. If they rinse and repeat game number 2, then this is a team that's heading strong into MSI.
Yeah, I think so. And right now, that would be such a big momentum swing to just kind of close it out 3-0 against a team that has been running so impressively. If Order want to get back on track, they obviously had to do it in this game. Otherwise, it was absolutely done. No chance at MSI, no OPL title. But not for nothing did they actually make that gauntlet run. I think they always do have the potential to get a game in.
Yes, they improved on many different areas. Like, it was the teamwork that was all of a sudden there. They, in the middle of the season, in the middle round robin, you could see on the player cams, as soon as somebody died, it was a domino effect, and everything fell to pieces, and the team was a disaster. But, like, they are now all on the same page. They looked decisive in the gauntlet. They have their plans, and they go into them, and they execute. I want to see in game number 3 them not go for something like the Carlos, not go for the GP, just look for early proactivity, because I think giving Bombers the space they've been given in the early game is not working, and if I'm looking at Order, like, that's where I attack first. You have to get out of early game without that significant deficit, otherwise we're just going to see another repeat of game number 2.
You're not wrong about that one, Bryce. We are into it for game number 3, the McDonald's champion selection. Order on blue side, as Bombers have selected the red. And we are well underway with pretty much the same bands as we saw in game 1. No surprises there.
And the difference is that Bombers have selected the red side, right? This is switching it up a little bit. It's going to be the Lucian, the Thresh, the Alistar, targeting the support pool. Is it going to be the Morgana Bandaway? No. It's it's actually going to be the Xayah, so switching that one up. They saw Morgana last game and were like, yeah, we're happy to play Galio into that. That looks fine.
I think the Xayah makes a lot of sense, though, right? They do kind of fear what Dream was able to do on it, but Order have now flipped the script a little bit. They lock in the Jarvan for Spooks, take it away from Balkan.
I like this a lot. You know, he has that early proactivity. You all of a sudden deny the ability to take that Jarvan Galio. And with all of these supports taken away, like, what does Rogue take? Does he go back towards a Tahm Kench with a Rise Hover? That could be the case, and they just go back to the game #1 composition. If they do take the Galio, it's much more of a takeaway from the Jarvan comp, right? Like, he's happy to blind this. He played it into the Morgana. They're happy to sort of concede that lane matchup.
And they want to deny the Galio-Jarvan combination as much as possible, which, correct me if I'm wrong, little Spooks and Swiffer combo.
Yeah.
All right, so Galio does come in, but a lot of flashes on some AD carry picks, and we will get an early lock-in. It's been, for the first time this series, we get an AD carry this quickly for Bombers, and it's a Callista with the Galio combination.
And this is something we've seen in the back end of the OPL split, right? Like, Callista was a big power pick, came into the meta, and all of a sudden it's FBI, not on an Ashe, not on utility. He's not on a Cogmore where he wants to kind of scale up, get to 2 items, and then do his thing. This is a Callista, and he's going all in straight away from the start of this game. Depending on what the matchup is, that's a Braum, so can kind of defend his AD carry, but Callista's a champion that you want to get ahead and you want to stay ahead, and if you are behind, it is incredibly rough to play.
You got to think Order's going to be playing towards that bottom side if they can to try and keep that pressure on against their former bottom lane. They do lock in the Braum, so Jake does go back onto the tanking champions away from those Enchanters, and that's a Vayne! Leaving it all on the line for Dream and Jake in this final game, or game 3 rather.
Yeah, and you saw a glimpse of his face there. Not the confidence we've seen of him in the last couple of weeks, but a wry smile kind of emerges. You kind of had 2 options there if you are Order. You lock in the Braum, you can go like Ezreal Braum, and you can back away and look to play Tally's side of the map, or they just go hard. They go for the Vayne, they go for the lane matchup that they want to play. Mimic just
with the blind
straight up
again.
blind picks Kennen.
Man, this guy is so confident.
There is a Jarvan matchup that is potential. It's locked in, and Tally can certainly pilot that one, so maybe not completely zero vision.
I mean, Urgot's still available if Spooks wants that champion. He didn't do terrible on it. It was just that he was not in the right place at the right time when Balkan was. Now the Rise will be banned away.
If you want to oversimplify, he put everything on the early gank, and then the best they got was a trade. And he lost completely, like, the other side of the map completely. Lost everything. They mentioned it on the couch.
Yeah, Balkan just nommed up everything that they could.
So he doesn't want to repeat that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting, because Swiffer eventually will have to blind pick. You expect that Bombers will probably take their jungle lock-in for the 4th rotation, and then Swiffer has to lock in. So they're kind of putting in these screen bans for whatever he's going to look towards. Maybe something like the Syndra.
Yeah, still smile on the face of Swiffer here. Order with the backs against the wall, still feeling like they can take it. The Kayle is banned away. Made it through last time without being banned or picked, but this time there won't be the opportunity.
Certainly the case, and the first ban we've seen of the Kayle the entirety of this series. Of course, on the blue side, I feel like it is a champion. It's much harder to lock in a draft than being able to get that ultimate counter pick on the red side.
So, Syndra ban now. Rayoma played that last time around. Of course, the Lissandra is still up, and he's been more than happy to take it. He will again.
There it is.
All right, so I really want to know what Swiffer's going to take. They might save it for the last pick.
Taliyah!
Taliyah comes in. Is that a J4 top?
It could be, or it could be a Taliyah mid. And that would be spicy. Jarvan could still be in the jungle, and Swiffer could still pick this one up in the mid lane. It does all rest on this last pick, but I have to expect this is going to be a lock-in for Tally. He's going to pick up something to round out the rest of the comp, something to dive with the rest of his team. Has the Jarvan there, and it will be the Sion, so this is the first time we've seen Taliyah in a long time domestically in the mid lane. Answer to the list, you have the wave clear. She's not the Taliyah of old, but this is a long-time Swiffer champion, and he was one of the best Taliyahs, as was Ryoma, at their peak.
When it comes down to it, you have to trust in your own comfort. We know what that conversation was on the stage just prior to that lock-in, so there will be the mid lane Taliyah for Swiffer. The final pick comes in for Bombers, and it will be a Balkan Lee Sin. So comfort levels for the Bombers as well.
Yeah, this is just very interesting from multiple respects. We have Swiffer on this Taliyah into the list. We've seen this blinded many times before, and he should be very comfortable in this matchup. I really like the Bombers kind of doubling down on their style, right? They all of a sudden have played the Ashe, the Cogmore, and they go for the Callista Galio, looking to like hedge their bets. They've been dominant early with not necessarily like the best early game skirmishing. Now they like heavily index in that sort of stuff. Balkan has the freedom to pop off an Elise in. This could be a flex game if he's continuing to perform at the level he's currently performing at. And
well, not for nothing did he win that Rookie of the Split. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody that Balkan has come in and dominated the competition here in the OPL. You know, jungler out of Korea, not played on the big stage before. Nerves never shook him. Communication problems were never there. He stepped up to the plate when it mattered, and Bombers are doing exactly that right now. 2-0 up on the verge, Bryce, of sweeping the series against Order and earning themselves a spot straight in MSI.
And a 3-0 grand final would be exactly what you wanted as a Bombers fan. You come in, you take care of business, and you trek on overseas, completely confident in your abilities as a team, as individuals, as everything they've put together. Completely different from their last year's performance. They changed the roster every single member, and match point here, Order completely backs against the wall. They go for the standard comp. They have Tally on the Scion. They have Jake on the Braum. These are things they're comfortable on, and they're looking to mix it up.
Yeah, a lot on the line for the teams, for the orgs. You know, either way, it'll be a new OPL champ. We've only had a handful since the OPL began. It was mostly Chiefs, Direwolves. You get a little legacy in there as well, but Order and Bombers both gunning for it for the first time.
Yep.
And also the players, too. I mean, we look at the lineups, and, you know, it's actually on the Bomber side where you see that, you know, lack of championships. There's only a couple of players that have even been in the OPL finals before. You're looking at Ryoma. But Balkan's a true rookie. Mimic's been around for absolutely forever, and he has a couple of third places. That's the most he's been able to do. So this is huge for these players.
Ooh.
Oh, as we come out the gates, Flash is burned on both sides.
Okay. So that's a gank setup and a half. The flash from Braum to burn the flash immediately from the Callista. Ward was dropped, and Order don't know about it, so Mimic is actually rotating down. Order only have 4 members here, and
they're stepping.
They're going to face check into this one. Rogue could get the biggest taunt of his light here.
And he gets a 3-member. Swiffer is able to send a couple of rocks
no flash,
flying.
he's been
FBI's
tagged.
got no flash, and they're going to get him first blooded. It's a little bit late as Balkan comes forward. Before it can all happen, that first blood gets picked up, and we're going to be in for a second now.
Balkan.
This one's picked up by Dream. Looking
Another
for Balkan.
tag.
How can he get out of this one? It's
Tally's
Tally
here.
to cut him off, and what a great start for Order in this game. He flashes a double kill for the Vayne.
Talia gets a kill as well. All of a sudden, you have a 1.3k gold lead before minions even touch
Look
in
at Dream's
the middle
face.
lane.
Look at Dream's face. This is all of a sudden cutting the tension.
Yes, complete turnaround from Champ Select. You see his face when they lock in the Vayne, and you can tell this is a very young player playing for a spot at MSI, and the pressure is absolutely on, but completely feeling himself after this one. 2 kills to start this one off, and I mentioned the taunt. He gets a 3-man to start this one off, but Callista level 1, not the best, whereas Vayne has the auto attack reset. Ryoma has thrown out a couple of Qs, but the Braum just does so much work. And level 1 fights really are about decisiveness. As soon as Order get one pick, all you have is auto attacks. Everybody has their one ability, but realistically, auto attacks do the most amount of work before you even have access to your WE or any of your other things. So Order, they hard commit for the kill. FBI no flash, they clean it up, and 3 kills level 1 feels good.
Yeah, no kidding about that. Little level 2 does get
very
started
nice
at FBI, and
dodge.
Rogue are really
They're
going for that
going.
double taunt right now onto Dream and to Jake, but Jake steps forward and really dishes as much as he gets.
Ooh.
Dream taken very low, though, and no summoners on him, so he
Yeah.
might have to back to base.
They completely disrespect the level 2. He goes back and buys double dagger, is in such a good position to set up this lane if they just don't get chunked at that level 2 mark, but
Ooh, Spooks finds
is gonna find
Balkan. Oh, he's getting some revenge from the last 2 games right
Liz
now.
is here.
However, the Lyssandra's there. Ryoma doesn't have a whole lot of mana to work with, but he did stop the chickens from being farmed up, and it actually turns around.
yeah, this is disastrous on multiple fronts. Ryoma expends double abilities just to get Spooks off the back of his jungler. Balkan loses the camp and has to go towards his wolves, but Swiffer is sitting there. He has the mana to now play the lane. Ryoma is sitting underneath his turret, just farming it up as best as possible, but you can see already this is a different early game from Spooks. It's him invading onto Balkan and pressuring that matchup.
And it's Order playing fast and loose after that start of it. 1,000 gold the lead here. Let's see how Bombers can try and stabilize it. FBI with no mana what to speak of as he pushes in the wave. This is one thing that hasn't changed, though, is the pressure on the bottom side. But Spooks is tracking Balkan as he goes down to the bottom, spotted by the Scuttle Vision.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to look for the dive now that he's been spotted out by Spooks, but in saying that as well, the bottom lane just has mega priority for Bombers. So Spooks can't even track down there and try and help out because Dream is too low. He wants to farm it up. He's half CS, given what happened at level 2 and has been struggling underneath his turret, just chugging potions and hitting minions, hoping for the Doran's Blade lifesteal to be able to keep him back alive.
Yeah, sometimes that's live in La Vida vein, even if you get yourself into an early advantage situation with a couple of kills, but doesn't want to give up that bounty that he's already managed to accrue up to FBI.
Because a lot of the frustrations a lot of people have with Vayne is she's not the Vayne of old. It's not like 4 items, 5 items, you come online and you destroy team fights. It's 2 items. You get your Bork, you get your Guinsus, and then all of a sudden you're a powerhouse and you can just 1v1 anybody on the map. And Dream with the 2 kills is looking to get himself there much earlier, but the Bombers bottom lane, despite what happened level 1, they're looking to pressure, and this may be a repeat of the game 1 dive.
It might be, but it looks like Dream and Jake are trying to play it out as defensively as they can. The big mini
Talia's
waves come charging
walking.
in. The teleport, they're going to full commit to this one. Ryoma's here. Spooks is coming, but will he be in
Double
time?
TP.
And they're going to look for Balkan. Do they have the damage? Ryoma goes in, and it's Balkan taking out Jake in this fight, but it's all of a sudden gone completely sideways as Swiffer tags his way in, but he's going to be isolated from the rest of the team who've already gone down. Bombers cleaning up on the bottom side.
And only Bombers can execute the level 4 cannon butt dive. Swiffer burns the cleanse, stun afterwards.
They're going to keep going for it right now. Mimic looking for that chase down. They have the damage, and Mimic picks up a kill. It's disaster now for Order as Bombers equalize on kills.
And this is complete dominance from the Bombers. 3 deaths level 1. A Vayne starts lane with double daggers and 2 kills, and they dive her at level 3. TP from Ryoma comes early. TP from Mimic comes without the ultimate. As we're going to take a look back at what happened, Dream, very nice condemn onto Rogue. And it is kind of that 2-phase sort of start to this one, but Ryoma rather gets a double stun on the back end. They just die almost immediately. List passive doing significant amount of work, and Swiffer thought he could look for it. He doesn't have vision in the bush, unfortunately, and Mimic hard forces. Cleanse comes through, but it's not enough to buy his life, and he just falls down.
Man, and the second win, too. Swiffer didn't see that one coming for sure.
Yep.
So 5 minutes into this game, we've had so much action already. From the level 1 to that dive on the bottom side, Bombers back in the driver's seat with a 500 gold advantage. It may not be one of those big old snowballs rolling, but it doesn't matter because they got back into the front, and now they have the edge.
We also have to mention it is an Infernal Dragon to start this one off. It's not going to be the double Ocean we saw in game number 2. We
It's
have
very important Drake to fight for.
some spice.
Yeah.
I will say, Swiffer's got himself the
Some pizza toppings, too, if they pick that one up.
Yeah, that is certainly the case.
By the way, as a reminder to all of you, we had a bit of a technical glitch last time that meant that the skins wouldn't have been distributed evenly for last game's version of it, but that does mean that all those skins are added to the pool for this game, so once that Infernal drops, 2K skins.
Double skins.
All the pizzas.
Damn.
I know,
That's
right?
a lot of skins. FBI.
Jake's caught.
Does get tagged with the Q. And I will say, like, the Braum Q, the Braum passive, is very effective at dealing with the Kalista. She's a champion that thrives on mobility. If you can't auto-attack, if you can't hop around because you're getting stunned up by these things, and it's also the delayed CC. It's not flashable, it's not cleansable or anything like that. You do just kind of cop it in a few seconds when that lands, and if Jake is able to continue this one, but here's a commit.
Yeah, be easy as you like. Swiffer gets caught up, and there's nowhere for him to go with no cleanse, no flash. Ryoma claims another.
And Spawn mentioned it on the couch. It's the decisiveness from this Bombers lineup. As soon as Ryoma lands the ulti onto a Cleanser's Talia, Balkan, he doesn't flash for the Q. He flashes for the W to get into the fight. Lands it afterwards. They blow the Talia up and take him down, and just look for that. It's the decisiveness with which they make these plays and just execute so quickly.
Yeah, this is what makes Bombers such a terrifying team, and 1 week off has absolutely not blunted their edge one bit. But for all these players, just to see them on the precipice of taking this win, taking an OPL title that they have not gotten before as an organization or as players, you can tell this is an absolutely battle-tested roster. They have not given up a single bit of ground.
And Swiffer is potentially in here for the long contracts towards bot side where he does have vision control, but they're still looking for this one. If he hedges towards top side, he is going to immediately die. But hovering the right side of the map and
playing smart.
Nothing comes from the play just yet. This
However,
could be it.
They're going to go in again, and he doesn't have the cleanse for a few more seconds. Wishes he did. As it's wash, rinse, and repeat.
And it is multiple avenues. 3 seconds ago, I'm talking about decisiveness, and now it's the patience. Balkan sat in that bush doing nothing for a solid 45 seconds because they knew the play would happen. They have the lockdown from Ryoma. They don't even need the ulti. There's no summoners there for the Talia, and gets in melee range. The easy cleanup at the back end for this rookie jungler. Gets himself the kill.
And that's the thing. Balkan doesn't just have like solid game sense, solid mechanics. he has everything that you want in a jungler. And for someone who's just starting out, that is so impressive.
Certainly is the case. Spooks.
All right,
looking for the top side of the map.
But Mimic matches as well. He might be in trouble. He's got no flash. Tally tags out. Spooks looking to tag in, and he gets the flag and drag. The dunk is on, but Balkan is here, and Tally might have to come and help out after all. Spooks doesn't have the damage. He's forced to flash out of his own pit, and he's not getting away with this one. Balkan and Mimic chasing him down on the shurikens.
And Order forced the fight, but unfortunately for them, they get cleaned up. Spooks has done such a good job of attacking Balkan's jungle this game. Doesn't have a kill yet, but was 20 CS up before that play, and unfortunately, he has to flash away. He has to respect the counter gank. They don't have the tools to take down Mimic, and this is the second time we've seen this matchup. It's the second time that Mimic's been able to live these situations and turn them around. He's such a steadfast presence in the top side of the map for the Bombers here, and Mimic is performing.
No kidding. I mean, what an impressive performance out of him. And on the signature cannon he's been given a number of times, he still just continues to shine over and over again. Even in a situation that looks dire, Bombers just wriggle out of certain death over and over again. Here comes Swiffer. Back to the mid lane, looking to try and make a play onto Ryoma, but he's playing so safely to the side because he always fears the Balkan gank now.
Yeah, and this game for me is actually fairly interesting. Because you look at the mid matchup and you see a Talia versus Alessandra, that's actually going to be an Infernal started up and potentially a gank
soloing
in the mid lane.
Hold up a second. Spooks is sniffing around, but does he sense that this might be happening? He's not going to chuck the ward down in.
Over the wall. Walks up to the wall. He doesn't have the vision, and no.
I mean, he had a ward to throw into the pit, but he didn't use it.
Yep, doesn't want to just waste a control. What? Like, you're a Jarvan. You can throw the E and check if you want, but they had an inkling. The bottom lane floated up, and that is the Infernal.
Yeah.
Earth is going to be the next one. That's a flash.
Rogue with a big old taunt on. The Braum ulti comes up, but they're not perturbed. They're going to keep on chasing it.
Flash.
It looks like Bomber's going to try to clean this up. Dream already falling down. Swiffer cleansing out, but you can't cleanse the damage, my friend. 3 quick kills picked up off the back of the Dragon.
And we're only 10 minutes into the game, but twice already Bombers have double TP to the bottom side of the map. They're completely picking on Dream and Jake, and they look for the fight. They throw in Rogue. Mimic and Ryoma are always there to the fight, and they're just cleaning up.
Man. Stealth Bombers, really. They just came out of nowhere. No one was expecting that on the Order side to see the big fight go that way. And Balkan doing double time again, interrupting Tally's ultimate as he tries to walk it out away. Going to be joined up by Spooks, but Mimic, they're still going for these plays, constantly sniffing for an opportunity. And a big, big gold swing for Bombers. Almost 4,000 in the lead.
And Balkan's just being annoying. There was no way he was actually going to kill Tally there. As we start this one off, huge flash taunt from Rogue, and the Kalista throws him in and back out to the play. Mimic comes over, he has flash, Ryoma gets the flank, and Mimic honestly didn't even have to use it to secure the kills. This is just very clean play. The TPs are early, Bombers know what they want, and every single time they're coming out the victors.
The target prioritization is just so good for them too. Obviously it's set up by that big taunt play from Rogue, but following on, Bombers are just so good. Team fight, 1-3-1, they can do everything, and in all honesty, looking to close out this series, they certainly will do OCE proud as a representative at MSI if they can make it through here.
Because I was going to say, looking at the two compositions, it's fairly interesting how this game has tracked. You kind of expect like the mid matchup to be the point with which this swings. You see a Liss, you see a Talia. Both of them want to get priority and then kind of shepherd it to the side lanes and look to play towards bot side, look to play towards top side, given the ebb and flow of League of Legends, who has control and who does not. But this has just been the hard force. It's the level 1 3 kills in the back pocket of Order, the turnaround, the level 2 play for the Bombers bottom lane, and just continuous pressure onto Dream and Jake. That's a passive. Swiffer's here. Gets the flick. No, he
will
doesn't.
get the 2-man taunt, actually, but Swiffer's there as well. I don't think that Rogue bargained for that much, and Dream will take him down.
And in the mid lane, something is happening as well. That was a TP from Tally to defend the turret. They weren't willing to drop the plates in the mid lane, but his turret's going to fall for it.
Yeah, it looks like Bombers will get first brick after all. It just depends on where it was going to be happening. Mimic gets a lot more. Meanwhile, though, Dream does get some turret plates on the bottom side. This is Order doing better than we've seen them in this series in the early game, but Bombers are not letting up an inch. You can even see Balkan starting the Rift Herald.
Yep, soloed out Infernal. Now going to look for the Rift Herald as well. That was a nice play out of Swiffer. Unfortunately, the pink ward just wasn't there early enough, right? So they don't get the pick onto Rogue that quickly. It takes a little bit of time. He gets spotted out, and it is the other side of the map that is the punish. Bombers have done this multiple times. It's Jarvan taking all your camps. It's Tally having to TP mid lane, and Mimic just continues pushing the top side of the map. And he's gotten so many plates. This cannon has 3 kills as well, is heavily accelerated. Rift Herald is only going to exacerbate the problem, and they might just drop it immediately.
That gold difference that Mimic has over
Oh
Tally.
my god.
Rift Herald coming up. They're going to knock themselves down a couple of turret plates before it's all said and done. It's Order scrambling to defend, but I don't think it'll matter here. A little short charge from Shelly, and that's the last of the plates.
2 plates picked up, shared between the 3 of them. A nice little chunk of gold, and they will fall away.
Shelly's just, what happens? Oh, nice shove onto Ryoma. Maybe this is a chance, but Balkan defends with a safeguard.
Is able to get himself there. They don't want to hard commit to the play. The bottom lane of Bombers was rotating up from the river and couldn't look to force that one, but the gold lead is just enormous on multiple fronts. Every game this series, there has just been one person with a monumental lead, and this time it's Mimic. The impressive thing for the Bombers is that it can be these different people. It's FBI on the Cogmore, who has like an entire Morgana's worth of gold in his back pocket. Now it's Mimic, who's almost double the gold of his opponent on the top side of the map, given how many plates, given how many kills
he still has a Jake in his pocket.
Yeah. And so, like, they're just able to utilize these leads, and Rusty said it on the couch at the start of the show. It's not about, like, the lane kingdom into just forcing all their individual lanes. They float their pressure across the map very well. Double TPs towards the bottom side from Ryoma and Mimic. And Balkan may be in trouble here. Does flash away.
Swiffer is there as well, but they're going to bring the Galio in for a hero's entrance. It's a lot of chunk damage onto Balkan. They don't have the damage to finish the job. Spooks goes in on the second win, but they're going to pay for it with their own support's life. And the jungle falls every time Order set up a play. Bombers are ready to answer.
Yeah, they get the 1, but Bombers get the 2. The collapse is very quick. Galio cheats a bit of tempo there and buys some time. Ryoma's looking for Tally on the back end here. He does have ulti available if he wants to continue this one.
Decimating Smash stops him in his tracks. Just a second. Exhaust is used. And he's just trying to buy a little time, but nobody was coming for help right there, so Ryoma's perfectly okay.
This is just like a little mind game. He doesn't want to blow the ulti because he can't kill Tally in the one-shot, but Tally still has the ulti of his own, so Ryoma wants to be able to cheat through that one and be able to self-ult if he can.
For a little
Swiffer
indecisive.
Continually floating.
He could dive this with the Weaver's Wall.
Certainly can. Balkan is walking from base, and Swiffer was actually on a couple of wards as he rotates over. Ryoma, stopwatch and has
stopwatch
ulti.
is there, but they channel it. He flashes behind. Another stopwatch used. Swiffer trying to get the kill off, and Ryoma just juggling between the two as Balkan tags his way forward. It's a 1-for-1 kill traded, but Balkan coming back up here under tower with a lot of damage from the rocks. They have it. Tally looking for it. Needs an auto. It's going to be Swiffer with the double.
Yeah, he picks up the double kills, but Ryoma played that incredibly well in the 1v2. The zombie does so much work off the back end, and Spooks was ultimately going to be at the play. Order would win the war of attrition there and pick up some necessary double kills. Rogue might just face check.
Yeah, he does. Tries to get that Justice Punch off. He only knocks up Jake and a condemn to the wall. Look at that damage right now. And it is true. FBI tagging his way in. Mimic back in once more. Spooks is there. They're going to turn their attention. Bombers back out of that.
Oh, and it is end up as a 3v3. Mimic was at the play, but
Swiffer didn't come in. I mean, remember, he still holds onto that Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, there was no Kalista ulti to rip out Rogue, and I'm looking, FBI's dashing into melee range like somebody will die, but gentlemen's agreement, they all do just back away.
All right, let's take stock of where we're at right now. It's still about a 5,000 gold lead for Bombers. And it hasn't grown in the last couple of minutes because there have been some good plays on the Order side to really stymie that. Items are starting to come in. You can see the defensive plays from Tally. This time, instead of being a second support, he's built himself up a little bit more of a defense against the Kennen. And also, Hextech Hosepipe completed by Swiffer.
Yeah, Tally wants a little bit more defense in the side lane when dealing with Mimic. But as you mentioned, the GLP is there for the Talia. Doesn't go the full Glacial Ornament build, has gone for the Electrocute to bolster up that damage.
A little bit of burst.
Once you land any CC, the slow is going to come through. Just lands, makes landing the flick infinitely easier, and that is really the pinnacle of Talia's kit, so it makes a lot of sense.
Balkan is always at the Dragon Pit when he gets a chance. The Spooks was there earlier, but he actually was forced to come up and try and defend on the play when there was a fight in that mid lane, which meant the Dragon never finished off. Balkan gets it now, so it's an Infernal and a Mountain picked up by Bombers once more. Starting to look like game one if you just look at that scoreline.
Well, it's also a different game given that Spooks is 30 CS up. He's been able to deny a lot of the camps away from Balkan. Given what happened at level 1, he had a lot of proactivity and a lot of control in the jungle, and he has snowballed that out for himself. It's just about leveraging that in the team-wide sense, right? Vayne is approaching the 2-item mark, whereas Kalista is almost there. They have the team fight potential. They have the makings with the Braum, with the Scion. All the pieces are coming into play. It's just about executing where their advantages lie. But given that it's a Mountain Dragon, it's an Infernal Dragon, it's a 5k gold lead, Bombers are still in a very good position, and Mimic is monumentally scary to deal with.
Yeah, and that's what Order have lost out on so many times in the series, right? It is Dragons. Of course, we saw the Barons go continually the way of Bombers. Order, you know, their neutral objective control actually didn't change a whole lot between Gauntlet and regular Split. It was just kind of running over the opposition. The one exception to that was the Barons, where they picked up a lot more on average. But, you know, as you were telling me when we kind of went over that earlier on in the day, that sometimes that just happens by virtue of the fact that you're winning.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened today because Order haven't been.
Barons go to winning teams unless you mess it up. Yeah. That's just how League of Legends works. When you get gold, it's much easier to get more gold and continue snowballing that game out. So it makes a lot of sense. Order have had an incredible run through the Gauntlet, and with that comes the cleaning up of Barons. This turret is
dead.
Basically dead.
Yeah, Shelly didn't finish the job, but that's all they needed.
Oh, here we go.
FBI wants to go in onto Jake, and he's trying to break through that Unbreakable. A lot of damage. Spears chucked into.
Swiffer's in behind.
That's Swiffer with the flank. Do they have the play? Looking for it. It's a tag in onto FBI. Balkan is out of there, but I can't say the same for Rogue. Dream taking him down. That's his 4th kill of the game. Ryoma going in, finding Jake on the return fire. Decimating smash and crash. Swiffer getting one more Mimic. Backed away by the Condemn. And they're going in again. Weaver's Wall cutting off Mimic. Here comes Swiffer, tagged in. Is Balkan. Do they have the damage? He's going to get knocked in. Tags his way over into the Raptor Pit. Mimic shut down. Big gold into the pocket of Dream.
And the decisive fight that Order fans need. 12 seconds on the Baron spawner. They may just look to start this one up. No. The reserved play is the call. They do back away. They look for the reset, but that was the continued collapse. This is what Order are good at. They find the fight, and they take it immediately, blowing up 900 gold shutdown. Galio ulti gets cancelled as well on the back end. Ryoma is able to trade the 1 kill onto Braum, but at this stage it doesn't even matter. That Condemn was clutch from Dream. Mimic's flash is about 10 seconds from availability, and they just clean up off the back end. The gold lead was steadily growing here for Bombers, but Order, they find the singular fight they need, and they're holding on in this game.
And now Dream has got a hell of a lot more gold to play with right now. So that Vayne is going to get a lot scarier. The Rage Blade already completed to tag up to the Bork as well. And 20 minutes into this, Bryce, this is the best chance that Order have had so far today. The gold lead is only 4,500.
Absolutely, and it's just shrinking from here. The QSS, I feel like, will be the purchase here from Dream. Has the Null Magic and wants to be able to live the Galio, live the Kennen, live the Lysandra. If he can stay alive in these fights, he's a 5-2 Vayne. This guy can just pop the hell off in a team fight and is approaching that 1v9 potential. If the team can be there, Tally is the front line that you need, is working on the locket, they're working on the shields, and he's had a monster gauntlet run and is looking to make that apparent here in game number 3.
But how about that set play from Swiffer? That was so brilliant right now. And Spook's tagging in to dunk on once again. Got to be careful not to get collapsed on himself. Look at Ryoma wrapping around that blue pit. Flag and drag denied, and into the Lysandra he goes. That is the jungler out of this one if they can finish the job. He gets the dunk on to buy a tiny bit of time, but all of a sudden, Bombers turn the tables.
And unfortunately for Spooks, over the course of this series, it's just a little pick here and it's a little pick there. This one, with a Mountain, with an Infernal, may cost them the Baron. Order, they have to contest this. Mimic is on the flank. I think they know where he is. Swift is looking for something, but
they don't have an exact idea. The Weaver's Wall will come in, but this is going to be a last-ditch effort. Mimic going to try to cut them off here. The Baron will be secured. Mimic is going to go golden, but they should be able to finish him off here. His flash has already been burned. That's one Baron buff removed, but the rest of Bombers keen to get away with the rest of it. Here comes the Scion, speeding his way through. They tag onto Ryoma with the Winter's Bite. Do they have the damage? He flashes in. Balkan looking for a kick on the backside. Not going to find it. Jake, a little low. Rogue tagging in once more. There's the damage as Ryoma finds Tally before he falls, but they're running out of health bars. That's going to be the Galio taken down, and Tally gets dropped as well.
And a huge turnaround fight for the Bombers. They get the Baron. FBI with the Runans is hitting everyone untouched on the back of the team fight. And this gold lead is exploding. It's 5,000. It's the double Dragons, the Baron now. And they're looking to pressure without the reset. They want the mid turret.
Yeah, they only have 2 members surviving with that Baron buff, but they should be able to knock down another tower here as you had Spooks on top clear duty. Jake was having to back into Fountain manually. So Bombers at the end of the day still win it, but they don't walk away as cleanly as they would have hoped.
Certainly not. They lose a few members. They sacrifice Mimic. He looks for the engage, can't quite find it, but they get the 4 Barons for it.
Another Infernal too.
At that point, you're happy. If you get an exit Infernal if you drive. Like, to talk about what just happened, they set up the map, set up the Baron, pushed, took a turret as well, and took a Dragon all on one deploy. That is a disgusting amount of value that they just got from this singular play. And we're going to see it again. Baron at 2k, basically dead. You have the Callista Smite there. Mimic looks for something, can't quite find access to Swiffer, and they do just back away. And Order, there's only one decision you can make. They want the fight. They want to look for it, and Dream is realistically the big portion of damage here, but it is this turnaround. It's Liss getting that AoE damage, being the front line is Rogue, and FBI just gets to free hit. Easy cleanup on the back end.
He's the difference maker for
Yep.
sure.
That's a Callista
Baron
team
buff.
fight.
Yep. And able to secure some objectives as well. So he's built himself a couple pieces of a Bloodthirster, it looks like. He might go into different things, but that Bork and the Runett's Hurricane already completed by FBI.
Classic Callista going for the double lifesteal build. It's kind of a lifesteal tank of the 80 carries, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of pings towards the bottom side jungle. You can see both teams want access to this area. Bomber's not caring at all about the top side of the map. They want the red buff so much they double pink the bush.
Yeah, well, Order's still going to try and fight it out. Looks like it's going to be picked up by FBI. A little moral victory for the Callista. A lot of spears sticking in, kind of hard to miss on the Rend.
Yep, certainly the case. I will say items, breakpoints are being hit. The Locket there for Tally. The QSS is there for Dream, but...
Oh, Swiffer, they get the knockback, and FBI! He's out of there! In the blink of an eye, and now here's the fight looking for Order. Tally finds Balkan, gets kicked back, and Jake tagging forward, flag and drag onto the Galio. They should be able to chunk through Rogue's health bar sooner or later, and they still look for the fight onto Ryoma right now as they've already got him taken down. Spook will get the credit for that kill. Redemption comes in, flags, drag, the dunk. Balkan has already denied it, but Order's still on the chase. Can they go any further? The answer's no.
The timely ward hop from Balkan gets himself to safety, but every time Order need a pick, they find a pick. Both times it's been onto FBI. This is looking for more. Balkan greeds out here, and
yeah, he's got nowhere to go right now. No kick and nothing for him to really do, trying a little bit of a Warthog trickery, and he's going to get denied. So all of a sudden at 25 minutes, Bomber's push gets stopped short.
And that is huge. That's every single member of the team dead in the last 5 minutes. So Baron is gone. They have no buff left available. They set up the map looking to break the base on that play. They have the gold lead. They have the tools to smash open an inhib and look to close this one out, but it's the little catch here. They find the flick onto FBI. The singular pick onto the Callista and the team comp falls apart, and Bombers, they lose a little bit of everything.
It's 18-18 in kills, man. Like, remember how this game started with a big setup that actually paid dividends for Order despite the fact that Bombers saw it coming. Bombers had control of the game after that as they slowly grabbed a lot more back, but a big fight for Order. And the gold lead is, again, it's 5,000, but that means a hell of a lot less than it did 10 minutes ago.
It's close. This game feels close, irrespective of what the value is, right? Like, League of Legends is a game of momentum, and if you play a solo queue game, you don't know what the gold lead is. You have no idea, but you can feel how strong you are, and pro players act on the same assumption as well.
They're going for it again. Weaver's Wall cutting it off, and they're going to be able to take down the Galio. Where are they? They've got forgotten about the ultimate. Fate's Call, and it pulls FBI, or pulls Rogue back in as he is able to get back into a safe position,
flick.
but they do get a 2-fling. Like, can they get the kill onto Ryoma? Puts himself into the prison. Spooks on the front line trying to make it happen here. He goes golden for just another second. Order still sniffing for it. They find the damage, but in comes Mimic, and he goes big for the shutdown onto Tally. And in zombie mode he goes. Not a whole lot going there as Rogue has managed to stay alive.
And every flick Swiffer is landing, but Mimic is the difference maker. The gold lead is still there for him. He's working on his death cap, and he picks up the kill onto Tally. There's no objectives for them to play for. Still a minute on the Baron, a minute on the next Dragon, but they just want top side of the map. They want more turrets. They want the snowball and to keep increasing this gold.
Mimic's sitting on Fountain right now. He might be going for the teleport
Here
flank play. However, Spooks has managed to find one. There's the teleport coming in. Can Order turn this fight before he gets there? Dream has already taken Rogue out of the picture, and it looks like FBI dancing around the rest. He gets stunned, taken out.
Mimic's
Double kill for the Vayne. Do they have more? The Condemned back. Swiffer running for the hills, but Dream is already dead. And Jake knows it as well. Double kill.
And Balkan clean up at the back end as well. That was an ace for Bombers off the back end of that fight. What just happened? On multiple fronts, the TP comes in from Ryoma. Remember, he died in the mid-fight. He TP's back on the map. No Baron, no nothing, but they're going to take the turret anyway. And you see the assist me pings onto the inhib. They want more.
Yeah, they do. Tally's the only one standing for the next 10 seconds as Spooks is looking to come back up, so Bombers are able to turn it around once more on Order as the fight was taken by them, but lost out big time, and the base will be cracked. 27.5 minutes, no Baron, no problem.
And with 7 seconds on the Baron spawn, the absolute worst inhib goes down. They lose the top side. They're going to have to deal with the wave here, and Bombers, they're just going to stay on the map, look to set this one up. Callista is in the base. Galio's walking out right now, and
Tally has his TP, but he's moving with the team anyways, which means Swiffer's going to be left on ward cleanup duty.
There's actually pings onto the Dragon. It's got to be the third Infernal of the game that's
No way.
FBI's thinking about the solo. They don't want to start up the Baron immediately, but
Tally stepping forward. Balkan looking to split the middle between these two teams.
Balkan!
He's out of there, but Balkan is already melted low. Do they have the damage? Onto Ryoma. They absolutely do! The big shutdown Mimic comes in for round 2, but there's just not enough damage! and Order are hanging tough in the face of certain destruction.
And the bottom lane from the Bombers are the only members alive. Is that enough for Order to walk towards the Baron? Callista, the only member alive for the contest here, and she's the only one that does damage. Order, they pick up the Scuttle Crab. Swift is looking for the flank, but this is the concede. Somehow, they did it in game number 1. They're doing it again here in game number 3. Order backs against the wall. They win these team fights and snake themselves a Baron buff.
They will be able to pick it up. They do have to give up an Infernal for it. The third of the game will go the way of Bombers with the duo that went down there, and now they'll have to go back to base, play some defense, but they have the Baron buff to work with, and it was a hard-earned one.
And now they have a window. Yes, triple Infernal, that sucks. You have triple damage members. You have the Callista, the Liss to start this one off, but you can see the play. Volcan is looking for Dream, has the flash available, couldn't find the kickback, and as soon as they don't get that engage, Dream lives for a Mimic of the back end as well. Swiffer and Dream were just untouched the entirety of that fight. The front lane doing their job. Yes, Tally falls down. Yes, Spooks lives on 1 HP, but straight up front to back, if Bombers cannot find the engage or to win these fights, and that's exactly what we saw.
Still 24-24 in kills. What an absolute bonkers
So
match
even.
this has been. It's 2-0, but that scoreline does not tell you how close this has felt, especially in this game number 3. It all started with a really crazy level 1, and Order, they've never looked more alive, but they're still facing down one of the toughest obstacles you can, even with a Baron buff in your pocket.
And this is the same game plan we've seen in the Gauntlet. Tally has TP, but they know they have their window right now. They have the Baron buff. If they don't utilize it, then all of a sudden you have Baron or no Baron against all of the Infernals, against everything Bombers have to throw at you.
Oh, Jake, that was a clutch ward to try and defend here as they march some minions in. Mimic was looking for an opening, and they go for the pick on FBI. He hops over the wall. They've got the damage onto the Galio, but in comes Mimic and Balkan around the side. Ryoma's not even in this fight. Dream outplaying Balkan right now, and he's just dashing around the side, but do they have the damage to follow through? Into the Guardian Angel goes Balkan, and that's going to be Dream dropped by FBI. Bombers have managed to clean up the Baron buff. Swiffer's back is stopped.
And both 80 carries looking to monster the team fight, but in the end, FBI with the Runans is the one that cleans it up. They're
Swiffer
still
get
looking for... Oh!
Ryoma, it doesn't matter. That's a shutdown. That's the ace.
And
that might be game.
30 seconds on the nearest respawn. Spooks is 25. FBI's on the Nexus.
This is going to be it. Bombers, no one left in their sights, and this game seemed as uncertain as any. But as the last of the Nexus towers will fall, you've just got to give an absolute standing ovation to the heirs apparent of the OPL. Bombers are flying high all the way to MSI.
And such a huge performance from so many members. You can see hugs all around, well-deserved victory. Sitting first place in the regular season. Watching the gauntlet run that Order made and able to come in. Smiles all around. That's a 3-0 grand final and an impressive, dominant performance here from the Bombers.
They dropped 2 games in the regular split, Bryce. They
two
dropped 0
yes,
in the finals.
2 games in the season.
That's
big.
I mean, there's nothing short of an incredible run here, and the OPL had changed so much. Teams, a lot of players, kind of rosters got blown up, reformed, and, we knew that there was going to be a shift to power. Bombers looked like the team that were going to be on top, alongside a couple of other contenders. But they were the ones who delivered on that promise, and they did it in style.
Absolutely. They've got an old school trio. The bottom lane and Ryoma in the mid lane. They've been around for a very long time. They've played together before. Leveraging that with Mimic. He scouts Balkan out of Korean solo queue. This is rookie of the split, but he's not just rookie in the sense that he's coming into OPL. He's never played competitive before, and he is just an impressive jungler and is a large part of their win here today. This was across the board, multiple styles, multiple members stepping up in each subsequent game, and a well-deserved victory here for the Bombers.
Yeah, they played like a well-oiled machine. I mean, nobody really was not delivering when they needed. There were chances. Order fought back for a 0-3 result. That looked incredibly close at a number of moments. The cleanest game, game 2, put that one away in the books. But the Cinderella story does end for Order on the Bomber side. Man, these guys just look so darn good. I can't wait to see what they do against MSI. They're the first representatives to qualify.
Yeah, first ones in the world. Oceanic is the first one to qualify, and it's super interesting because going into it, like they are a bunch of like the biggest criticism people leverage at the Bombers, and myself included, is like the teamwork is where you look. Individually, they are all incredible players. Like Mimic looks dominant, Balkan looks dominant. You see Ryoma, if he gets like a carry versus carry matchup, like he is the 1v1 guy. But today, like the teamwork really was there. It's the Tahm Kench attacking the side lane. It's the Galio doing the same thing. It's them like double TPing in game number 3. Like they are shoring up their perceived weaknesses for a team that has only lost 2 games over the course of an entire season, and they look very strong going internationally.
Oh, they absolutely do. And it's such a great story for all these players that have earned their way to a first place spot. Especially look at the likes of some of the veterans. Ryoma sitting on the sidelines for so long, being such a long-time player, and he finally gets a first place. He can finally raise that trophy.
Outside of Ryoma, nobody has been in a grand final. FBI and Rogue, like, they've been in gauntlet runs. They've looked to make those plays, but all of a sudden, like, it's a rookie going from 0 competitive games to playing at MSI. Mimic has always been a gauntlet monster, even on his time on Legacy, and now he dominates the OPL and he gets to lift the trophy. This is well-deserved from both parts of their map.
And there you have it. Big smiles on the faces of all the Bombers members, and they earned that trophy today. 3-0, not dropping a game. And it's got to feel good, especially for the likes of those rookies. So you look at Balkan, this man comes out of nowhere. Scouted up, as you said, in Korean solo queue, had not been on a competitive stage before.
There's the kiss. To get the kiss on the trophy, every player has to do it. Well-deserved from the bottom lane. Been around for a very long time, but as we said, I feel like every single member, this team looked like a well-oiled team. The individuals, they surely stepped up. This is well-deserved across the board, and 100% behind them.
It's the best OC has to offer, and it certainly looked impressive in form today. Man, what you can't say enough good about this team. I mean, I thought Order, like coming in, was going to be such a monster of a challenge because of how hot they were. Obviously, like a bit of a weak cooldown, but Bombers came in, they cracked the knuckles, they said, let's get down to business. They rolled up the sleeves and they got to work.
And Jake likes saying it, right? This is tradition through and through from the OPL. Anybody that has finished first place in the regular season has lifted the trophy, and Bombers come in. This is a new representative. No matter who won here today, it wasn't going to be the Chiefs International. It wasn't going to be the Direwolves. It was someone fresh. And they do that, and they keep the tradition alive. You know, they're sitting up the top, #1. They get to watch the gauntlet battle it out. But they came in today. They played it fairly calm. Yes, game #1. The end of that game, that was a bit of a roughie. They had to backdoor the Nexus, but it was only more calm and only more collected from that point onwards. And they really just cleaned it up as the season progressed.
Yeah, Bombers soar to heights, get themselves at 3-0 and the championship. Let's end it off to a quick Macca's break before the couch will break it down further.
We don't believe in labels at Macca's, like dinner or breakfast, so we're getting rid of them. Now you can enjoy dinner or breakfast whenever you want it. McDonald's all-day menu, available 24/7.
Woo! What a win for Bombers, but I gotta tell you what, FBI needs to work on that trophy lifting skill. It's a little like, get some arms up there, man. My goodness. But Bombers, absolutely dominant. You see why they were top of the table the whole season.
Yeah, like maybe he needs to work on his trophy lifting skills, but definitely not on the Rift, because he was an absolute monster today, and he just went above and beyond. You know, Bombers, they definitely played to expectations, which is that they came in as the favorites.
Yep.
A lot of questions can be asked, of course, Order high expectations after their gauntlet run, but you got to see what happens when the best play their best.
And I feel like 4 periods of the game, we saw Order play really good League of Legends.
Absolutely.
And I think that what people are going to overlook in this final is the fact that I feel like Bombers elevated, and I think Bryce hit it on the head. They 4-man turret dove pre-level 6 to clean up 4 kills. Like, that is a world-class turret dive down in the bottom lane. I think that across the board, this is a lineup where we said, you know, they play Lane Kingdom, then they kind of stay in their lane, and they starve you out of farm, and then they beat you in the war of attrition. But today, they had really good team play, and trust me, I'm a part of Order. The one thing that we pride ourselves on is the fact that we play 5v5, like really good, like sacrificing League of Legends, and I think that the Bombers knew that, and they knew they had to match it, or maybe even exceed it, and I think today, they played really good 5v5 League.
Yeah, even in times when Order get there earlier, you know, they're the ones trying to make the play.
Yep.
Bombers managed to upset it. And in that fight you mentioned, remember, it was 3 kills at level 1 that went to the side of Order, and 2 of them were on the AD carry. So that's not a dive that you ever look at and say that's just going to work for Bombers. I thought that was game suicide if that didn't work, and it probably would have been.
Yeah.
But they're such a class act, they're able to make the dive work, and they're successful.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about Mimic a lot, and I think that as far as big game players go, like Jusong has come over to the OPL and kind of changed how top laners have to approach the game. Because we've had traditional top laners that have been very good in the laning phase, looking at people like Tally, looking at people like Chippies, and then we've kind of had Swiper, who's a really good team fighter, and we haven't really had someone that bridges that gap all that much. And this guy, every minute of comp play, uses jungle pressure better than anyone. Lanes without jungle pressure better than anyone. Team fights so exceptionally well. And I think it really has pushed Oceanic top lanes to the next level where he's kind of responsible last year for everyone like Tally, Chippy, Swiper actually getting better. And you talk to people like Swiper and he says that. So I think that, can't sing his praises enough. And in this game, we'll shout out FBI because he played very well. But I think Mimic kind of was that rock for all 3 games.
And Balkan in the second game as well. Every individual had their moment, but you're right, Mimic in the end was the person most consistently playing his best.
Absolutely. Mimic, a total hero. Every Bombers member, a total hero. I'm going to throw it over to the desk now with Pyra. He is sitting with not only 2 of the winners of the split, but one of those 2 gentlemen is also the winner of the Reindeer Medal, MVP of the split as voted on by the captains and some of the staff here at Riot. So Pyra, please announce.
Absolutely. It is my great pleasure to announce that Mimic is the winner of the MVP, the Raider Medal. Congratulations to you and to the whole team. Mimic, do you want to say anything?
I got the MVP, but I'm really happy now. Really. I just said
Is MVP
I don't know what to say.
above winning the split for you, or is it same level?
It's more level.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. So there's big stuff for you guys here all across the board because, Ryoma, I want to ask you as well. You've never won a split before, but you got so close on the Chiefs. How does it feel to finally be able to hoist that trophy yourself?
For me, it's just... Well, we were 1 game away. We got reverse sweeped, and then we were 2 games away. Just I didn't know if I was able to win a split or I wasn't confident in myself after that year. But then yeah, I think I've proven myself this time. I think it's just nice winning now. Just really nice.
Certainly has to feel good. Did you come into today expecting to 3-0?
Not expecting 3-0, but 3-1. But yeah, the game 3 was pretty close. So
did it for you, Mimic? Did it feel a bit easier? You could play Kennen the whole time as well.
Yeah, I thought they banned Kennen, but they opened the Kennen, so for me it was happy.
Do you feel like teams should maybe fear your Kennen a bit more than they do?
Yeah, I think so.
Take notes, everybody, especially those watching looking to go to MSI. And speaking of, you guys have bought yourself a ticket there, so I'm going to ask questions of both of you. I'll start with you, Ryoma. Since you're the first team to qualify around the world, is there anybody you'd like to face off against at MSI?
Not that I know of. No mid laners in particular, but I just want to make it out of groups.
Do you feel confident against some of the mid laners of the world at the moment?
I think I'm pretty confident against the group stage mid laners, but when it's past that, I think that's when it starts to get harder for me.
Okay, Mimic, for you, is there any player or any team you'd like to face at MSI?
I like to meet the Turkish league because before I played with them, so maybe exciting for me.
Yeah, a good little reunion. That'd be kind of a lot of cool stuff. And, well, I suppose that's all we got time for on this one, but let me just once more congratulate both of you on the win. Looking forward to seeing you at MSI. Let's go ahead and send it back to the couch, though.
Thank you.
That's right. I'm sitting here with FBI. Mate, congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling really happy, obviously. Yeah, just feeling very, very happy.
There must have been a lot of emotion going into this as well, as you referenced at the top of the show, that you are playing against Order, you're playing against friends, you're playing against ex-teammates. How did that factor in?
Well, it's kind of bittersweet because I love all the Order guys and stuff, and it just feels somewhat bad that I kind of beat them when we didn't manage to win last year. But yeah.
Is that why the trophy lift was a little more like this, as opposed to throwing it around the room and dunking it?
Nah, I think we're just not very energetic people.
I mean, talk to me about how you felt for this finals as well, because you were just playing out of your mind, and obviously Bombers were dominant throughout all 3 games, and Jake referenced that you guys had even elevated your game heading into this. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Order actually played very, very well. Like, even though it was a 3-0, like, games 1 and 3, sorry, could have really went either way. So I think Order played really well, and I think, yeah, we did kind of elevate our game as the series played on, yeah.
And so this must be giving you confidence for MSI. How are you now turning your preparation, your planning towards that?
I think first we're just all going to take a bit of a break, like probably go see family and stuff. But then honestly, I'm not too sure because we don't really know what teams are at MSI yet, I think. But yeah, we'll just be grinding solo queue. I think a couple of us going to Korea and practicing, and yeah.
Is it too early to say whether or not you feel like you're the team that can do it at MSI, given that you don't know who else is going in, or is the confidence level at a point where you do feel unstoppable right now?
I wouldn't say we feel unstoppable, but I feel like we're all very confident that if we just play our own game, we don't get too caught up in like the big stage of MSI. I think we will go further than OSA's ever gone, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again. It was a hell of a 3 games. Well done. And we'll throw it back to the desk where we've got Rogue and Western Way.
Absolutely. So we're getting a couple more interviews in today. So, gentlemen, let me just start once again by congratulating you both as well on the title. I guess for both of you, I'll start with Rogue. How does this feel to finally be able to lift that trophy?
Oh, man, my friends are all giving me shit saying not to cry. No, having worked for so many years for something and then finally getting it and kind of proving people wrong that, like, I'm one of the best and that I can win it.
You certainly proved it today, man. Really, really well played. And it's trust in the team. It's trust in the organization. You've been playing with FBI for years now. To do it with him, how is it to play together with a player that long and to find that success?
I don't even know. I love Victor. Like we're two people who just would never be compatible as friends in the real world, and he's someone that like I would never even interact with because our worlds are so far apart. But doing this with him for so long, I've made like a really good friend that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life.
Man,
he carries me so hard sometimes.
But you support him in everything, right?
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, man, that's so fantastic. I don't want to take too much time on you because I want to talk to Weston as well because this is something people don't often see all the time is in the back, what's going on with the rest of the org. And, as somebody who is the face of that back part of the Bombers organization, what does this win mean to you guys?
I mean, it means pretty much everything for us. Like the players, this has been something which, I think 5 years ago got involved in League of Legends. So myself and the GM, Euphorius Nathan, have always dreamt of being able to win an OPL title, but the Bombers this year, providing us with the resources to be able to actually have a good crack at it has been absolutely incredible. And just actually like getting that win on that first real try that we've had has just been amazing.
So now that it's all over, you guys get to take a little bit of a break, relax a bit, but looking forward to MSI. Is there anyone you want to face down?
I have no idea, but sitting at home watching VODs all day of players and then actually being able to verse them one day would be amazing.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to look forward to seeing it. I know you guys will do OCE proud. Thank you so much for those games. That has been absolutely fantastic. Congratulations one more time to the Bombers. Let's send it back to the couch to close out the split.
And what a split it has been. Gentlemen, I mean, so much has happened. Obviously, it's not just the grand finals. It's not just the gauntlet run from last week, but the whole split has been filled with drama.
Yeah, massive. And I mean, the best example I can give you as well is the amount of passion and effort that goes into winning these splits. You can see it through Rogue's face as well.
Yep.
That's the face of relief. The amount of effort, time, thoughts when you go to sleep that go into playing this game. You can really see all that come out in someone once you've crossed over the finish line. And like that's a big example of the amount of effort that every team puts into this split. And that's just the winners.
Because what you got to think is there's like 40 starters. There's like 8 coaches, probably 8 assistant coaches at this point. Probably more. There's probably 16 assistant coaches. And, there's probably 8 GMs and 8 great ownership groups in the OPL. And only one team gets to win. And trust me, like at the start of the year, Mammoth thought they were going to win, and Chiefs thought they had a really good crack.
Yeah.
We thought we had a good crack. I'm sure you guys had confidence as well as your split started ramping up. And the Bombers always had that pressure on them. I mean, this is a club that's backed by an AFL organization that built a roster with like 2 of the remaining imports in the OPL, like specifically designed to win. And that, like, the maturity and kind of the growth that those players had to go through, trust me, I know a lot of them very well personally, to be able to like bear that, like, I guess, heaviness throughout the entire split and do it so well and so classily is kind of like impressive to me. And I think that, a lot of them played like out of their mind well today. So I'm really happy with the Bombers because, I built a super team last year. I know the pressure that is there to actually try and win the damn thing. And, you know, the fact that they were able to pull it off, as Western Way said in the first try, like, really admire the work they've been able to do.
Especially with the steam train coming at you in what was Order in this finals, you know, being able to smash their way through Gauntlet, you have to spend a week thinking about it every single night. That's who we're going up against. Look at the momentum they've gotten to come in and win that first game as they did, you know, that's nothing short of a class act.
Yeah, and I kind of want to shout FBI out personally, right, as like we send off Order, because FBI unfortunately wanted to play with Tommy, therefore wasn't on Order this year, and kind of said, like, I just want it to be like us versus you guys in the finals. Like, that's what I'm playing for. And he said, like, let the best team win. And every single time I chatted to Victor across like the course of the split, whether we were going well or going poorly, he's like a really positive voice. And I think that showed today in his interview. I think he's a real class act. And I think like Order was a team that everyone came in and had them just outside that top 3 spot. You know, you had kind of Mammoth, Bombers, and the Chiefs as the 3 super teams, and then Order with their new bottom lane, like kind of a coin flip. And the fact that we were able to go 1-9 throughout the gauntlet run, kind of do something that no one else had done, the fact that we were able to push the Bombers today, I'm really proud of our players. You know, we're playing with an 18-year-old that's taken himself to career a couple of times, you know, some old men in the mid and jungle position who are trying to take another crack at it. So I think like Order, their season honestly was pretty stuffed halfway through, and we're able to bring it back and, you know, really do the fans proud. So like a shout out to everyone in the team.
100%. Order can only really go with their heads held high given the performance. It's been mentioned before, but like you're building for Split 2 performances as well. You've got the experienced players. Yes, they want to start strong, but that bottom lane is about building, and they've been able to build faster than you would ever think. So Order, very bright future in the second split.
And FBI deserves to be international. Like, I mean, I assume we're wrapping up the show pretty quickly, but like FBI is too damn good for Australia. This is a guy that went to Korea, got like 3rd on Korean solo queue.
Rank 3.
And Dream is a freaking good AD carry. Like, he has actually got a very good head for the game, gets a little bit nervous and a bit overwhelmed, but like is a superstar in the making. And FBI today like showed that like he is on a completely new plane of League of Legends over here. Like he is like really, like, he was named FBI Best ADC, which is kind of a, you know, trashy meme, but he really is a very, very good player, and I think, like, showed that today.
Well, we cannot wait to see him and the other Bombers' performance at MSI. It should be mammoth, to use the term. But, of course, we are heading into split number 2 as well. Like you said, we've got so many teams that have not only proven growth, they've proven that they can compete for that top title as well. It should be so exciting heading into split number 2. So we will see you guys then. We will all be cheering on the Bombers for MSI. But while there was a winner and there was a runner-up, of course there has to be a loser. And it looks like Nick Boy is the loser tonight. The least amount of picks correct throughout the split on the chili tips, on the spicy tips. I'm going to blame it on that week that I backed the underdogs, so this is all your fault.
Just so we're clear as well, this is a lemon with a lime inside it, with a chili inside the lime.
Absolutely. So
that is so disgusting.
The finals here in our home studio. It goes out with a big bang, but I feel like the only way it could really go out as it started
is with you crying.
Is watching me cry as I eat some sort of weird chili lemon concoction. So we will see you at split number 2, if I'm still alive.
Oh dear.
Oh my god, it's juicy.
Oh no.
Oh. It's just so degrading.